Nikita Dragon, and then there's a couple of police cases that I want to cover, and then
Nikita?
yeah.
Oh.
Wait, did you not hear about this?
Uh-uh.
Nikita
Jake's been
Dragon,
out of the loop.
bro.
Huh?
There's a couple other things I said that you hadn't heard of either earlier. I
I
don't
mean, I'm
remember
gonna
what they
cover
were
this in
though.
like 5 minutes. Oh, Rams is getting on. Okay, maybe I'll jump in with him.
Jake does tend to be out of the loop.
Jake, just join my stream. You'll hear me talk about it. I'll explain everything.
Nikita Dragon
Always
went to
a-
prison.
Okay. Start. Oh shit! I did not do my announcements. Whoops. 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 Okay, got that. We got that. I never set things up before I started streaming. I never set things. Oh god, mute. There we go. Okay, I think we got everything working. I think we're good. Look at me. How loud is that? Hopefully not too loud. Yeah, that's good. I think we're good. Okay, yeah, and I'm not peeking out. Okay, we're doing okay. Set up right, good. Hey, yo. Okay, who's that? Luna James, hey, how's it going? What's up? I'm just pulling up all my articles for stuff we're covering tonight. How's it going? What are you up to? Oh, that's good. Better than me right now. That one. I'm using a BuzzFeed article, but just designing some product. Wait, are you is for like school or are you like working? I've just been working on papers all day, so I'm exhausted, and I was like, I'll take a break to stream and do something I enjoy before I go back to writing papers. Working. Oh, cool. Are you a architect? I don't know. I feel like every time I heard designing, I'm always like, oh, architect. Iron bread though. That's good. That's all that matters. I'm definitely assuming you're an architect then, because architects make hella money. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna wait for a few more people to hop in because I just started streaming. And then we'll start covering some of the stuff. There was a bill I wanted to cover, and I can't remember what the bill was now. Maybe it was Bill C-17, but I don't think that was... Was it Bill C-17? In Canada? Nope. That is not it. Fuck! I don't write anything down. I always see stuff that I'm like, I need to talk about that, and I don't write anything down. I'm trying to go back to do more legal cover. I've been like kind of dicking around with my stream for a while. I used to do a lot more legal coverage stuff, and then I stopped because I think it's a lot to like prep for. And just like heavy stuff to cover. But I want to go back to it because I actually enjoy talking about legal stuff. So cases and bills. I'm getting back to it though. It's taking me time. I think especially once my semester ends, I'll probably go back to doing a lot more of it. Right now, it's too draining to like read stuff constantly all day, and then to go to stream and read more stuff. But I don't think I can. Oh, I don't know what's gonna look up. Oh, is it not happening? Is the runoff race not happening till that late? Oh, that's super annoying. Thought I was gonna be able to cover that sooner. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to find all the stuff that I want to bring up on stream today because I haven't really. I had stuff planned and then I can't find where I wrote it down, so. My PC is just messing. Are you, Oh, with your project? Can't relate, don't have a PCA. I'm trying to reconnect it. Once. I hope it's not on my end, because my Wi-Fi is constantly fucking up my stream. No, we're good. Oh, oops. I'm just figuring stuff out right now. I'm not talking about anything serious yet. Well, we're gonna give it like 5 minutes once I get everything in order. I have most of my articles pulled up now. I'm just going through stuff quickly before I start. All right, there we go. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. I think I got everything set up properly now. I felt like something was okay. Oh, thank you.
Era of equality, I'm just gonna sit here not do nothing.
What's happening? What is playing? Oh, hi Ed. How's it going? Hey guys. I am sitting up straight, okay? I'm sitting up straight. We're good. We're vibing. We're just, we got everything together, okay? Are you? I am! Okay? It just doesn't look like it on camera. Come jump on stream. What are you doing here? Are you going to bed? Come get in the Discord. I'm bored. Come talk to me. How's it going, guys? What's up? What'd it do? Okay, yeah. Okay, I guess we're gonna start covering stuff now. So, the first thing we're covering is Nikita Dragun arrested and says she was placed in men's unit of Florida jail. So, I don't know if anyone, actually, I feel like, does anyone know who, Nikita okay, wait, I'm just in the, I just realized, there we go. For anyone who doesn't know who Nikita Dragun is, she's like an old beauty YouTuber from, I don't know, she's been on YouTube for like 7 or 8 years. I guess no one really knows who she is anymore because she hasn't really been relevant in a while. But she was recently arrested at a hotel in Miami Beach, Florida, after splashing water from a water bottle on a police officer. The police were called to Dragun's hotel to her hotel room after complaints of Dragun walking around the pool area naked and causing a disturbance when asked to stop. She was arrested for felony battery on a police officer, misdemeanor disorderly conduct, and misdemeanor battery, and was taken to Miami-Dade County Turner Guilford Knight Correctional Center. My request. Yeah, Michelle sent me the story and she's like, you should cover this. And I was like, I didn't even think about covering this. I saw it on my... I think somebody else showed it to me and then I was just like... Wait, oh shit, is my stream fucked? Is anything... Wait, hold on. I get so scared because my internet's constantly dying on me. Just you. Okay, thank God. Okay, so on... I don't know if anyone... Actually, did they have the video linked in this article? No. Let's see if I can find the video. What she tries to be. I want to see if I can find the video because it's actually kind of sad to watch. Where she's... So she was placed in the men's prison, or men's unit of the prison. Representative for Miami-Dade prison system released a statement to TMZ denying that Dragon was placed in the men's unit because she was never booked prior to her release. All inmates undergoing our intake process remain in open seating, open booking area in the presence of correctional staff, states the rep. Additionally, inmate Dragon was placed in a holding cell by herself due to her high-profile status before being released, and she was escorted by an LGBTQ officer during her time at the correctional facility. Oh! Okay, wait, I wasn't expecting this article to say something. Is that true? Was she not actually placed in the... Let's keep reading, actually. We'll read to the end of the article and then we'll make a decision. Miami-Dade jail would have you believe that they are a safer place for trans and queer people than Miami-Dade schools. Committed to protecting... Okay, I don't care. I just want to see what the actual story was. MDCR has procedures in place for the appropriate intake, housing, and medical needs of transgender inmates, and we are committed to ensuring that all inmates in our custody, including transgender persons, are treated appropriately throughout the intake, classification, and placement process. Not sure if this is the freaking... Wait, what? What is this article? Is this, hold on, let's see if we can find it. Okay. So that article is saying that she wasn't placed in the men's facility. Now I need a... Let's try this one. Okay, Daily Mail. Moment judge told sobbing trans influencer Nikita Dragon she had to remain in men's prison despite identifying as a woman after arrest for walking around. Okay. This is kind of not funny. Ironic? I don't want to say funny because that sounds really mean. But Nikita Dragon was arrested for walking around topless. I don't think she was fully naked. I think she was topless at the pool. Actually, she could have been totally naked. I thought in the last article I read she was just topless. And she was called, like, the police were called on her for being nude at the pool. But you can only, I think you can only get arrested for that if you are a woman. Like, if you're, like, they wouldn't arrest a man. But then, like, once they're in prison, they're, like, treating her like a man and saying that you have to be in the men's section. But you charged her with a crime that only a woman can commit. It just seems very illogical at that point. But let's read one more. Let's see if this article clears anything up. Transgender influencer Nikita Dragon was told she had to remain in the men's unit of the prison where she was detained during bail hearing Tuesday. Representatives for the influencer said her imprisonment in the men's unit was extremely disturbing. Okay. So it looks like she was in the well, I don't know. I can't tell now because every article is saying something different. Why would you arrest anyone for being topless? I think in most of the states it's still illegal for you to have your, like, for women to have their breasts out generally. I know in New York you're allowed to, like, women are allowed to go topless anywhere. There's probably, actually let's just look it up. Which states can women be topless in? Oh, there's 33 states. I didn't even realize it was that high. Okay, so there's Alabama of all places. Alaska, so there seems to be... Oh, I did not mean to open that. Is the title about Brittany Griner? Wait, I have no idea. What's the Brittany Griner thing? Griner? I don't know about that. Is it the 1800s? No, but like I think most places in the States still like, well, no, actually not. I guess it's more lenient now, but like I remember New York was like the first place that you could go topless for a long time. Why are they using the models for like this article? They're using like their... Okay, interesting. Yeah, back a while ago, I remember New York was like one of the first big ones that would like allow it. Or unless I'm wrong about that. Okay. So yeah, there is like, but I guess in Florida, which is surprising that Florida is one of the ones where you can't be topless, unless this was like a hotel thing where like the hotel basically said like, we don't want you, if this was like I guess that'd be civil though, that wouldn't be criminal. But I guess you could still have the police escort her off. Now I'm trying to figure it, wait, hold on. Let's just see if Florida's one of these states. Hold on, Florida. Nope, Florida's not on the list. Okay, so Florida's not on the list, which means she probably was doing something illegal. Why is this music so damn loud? Okay. You can go topless in Vegas. Yeah, obviously you can go topless in Vegas. That's no shit. I think like but yeah, I don't think in Florida, I guess it's still illegal to be topless as a female. That would actually be an interesting case. Do you think if there was a guy who got breast implants, but like still identified as male and went topless, could he be arrested? Is it about the breast? Is it about like having like boobs, or is it just about like being a woman having boobs? Because like what if someone like what if a dude just randomly went and got breast implants or something and walked around topless? Then what? Because I know trans, I'm pretty sure Rex, yeah, I responded, Luna. No, but I think there's been like, so even like trans men who identify as men but haven't had surgeries can't be topless. But their gender identity would be a man. But I guess because their biology would still be female, they like can't be topless, because I think there's been a case of that where like a guy, like a trans man was like arrested for the same thing. But then if you have a trans woman arrested for the same thing, well, no, it might have been different states, but still. Fuck, that's now I want to see that happen. I want to see a guy go get a boob job just so that he can like walk around with his tits out and see if he gets arrested. Somebody in the chat, I will fund you to get a boob job to test this theory. If anyone wants to take that on. Would you be arrested? No, because like, no offense, but like fat guys don't get arrested at the beach. And they have like man boobs. Like you can have like titties bigger than mine and like not get arrested as a dude. So I think it's literally about like being a female who has boobs. I think that's like because even like if it's a girl who's like flat chested completely, right? And you take your top off in public, you'll still be arrested. So there's like no definition based on like the size of your boobs. And it doesn't seem to be a gender identity thing. Is it like the sex of your body then? It has to specifically be that? I don't know, laws are weird. Now I'm questioning this too much. At least needs to be a double D cup. No, because I'll still get arrested and I'm flat as fuck. Okay? None of this is real. It's all an illusion. Sorry. Hey preacher, how's it going? Let's see. Footage from the 26-year-old bail hearing showed the Instagrammer, who is born male but is legally female, asking Judge Mindy Glazer whether she could be moved to a different unit. Glazer said she couldn't accommodate the request, noting, "I don't make the rules," before saying the prison should have placed Dragon in a separate... Oh, thank you for the follow, Luna. Should have placed Dragon in a separate area inside the unit. Dragon was locked up after a staff at the Good Time Hotel called police to report a person being extremely disorderly and causing a disturbance. Staff at the Miami hotel said Dragon had been walking around the pool in the area naked, and when officers arrived, she doused them with water. She was arrested and charged with felony battery on a police officer. This was something else I wanted to talk about while we were reading the story, because I think it's kind of interesting the way we classify assaults. Fuck, we're gonna get into some like heavy criminology stuff. Right now, like our level for assaults, like we have like different types of assaults, but they're all basically on the same. Well, I don't know about the states or all parts of the states. I hate that your guys' like laws change so much from state to state because it's so hard to like talk about stuff. In Canada, our criminal stuff is all federal, so I can talk about it pretty broadly. But like when you look at murder, right? You have everything from like 1st to 3rd degree murder, and then like manslaughter and like right? So you have like different levels, and like they're all like different degrees of like blameworthiness. They can like get you different charges and stuff. But when it comes to like assault or sexual assault, it's weird. I think it's weird that we don't have like levels to these charges. I think like when you talk about like she was arrested with a felony battery on a police officer charge for like dousing them with water, like just bottled water. And I get that it can be dangerous because there can be stuff in the water if someone like did something to the water, like if there was acid or something in there. It's like the fear of there being something else, but then that would be a battery charge. But like dousing someone with water seems like a crazy thing to consider like assault, felony battery, right? And so I just think like when it comes to like if I was to be in charge of the justice system, or if I was like redesigning the laws, I think one of those things is like I think we need to tier a lot of our charges better. I think like assault charges, like there's multiple types of assault, but they're not like you can have aggravating things, but like once you have a base assault thing, like, but again, this is like Canada, right? So like you have assault, and then you have like assault with a weapon, assault, like you have different types of assault above that, but like, fuck, I don't know if you threw a water bottle at someone, I think it is just assault, which seems weird because like punching someone and throwing a water bottle at them would be considered the same charge, I'm pretty sure. So it seems crazy that like you'd have like one thing where you're like, actually actively trying to hit and harm somebody versus like throwing a water bottle at someone. But they're not, like they're considered the same type of charge. That's super bizarre to me because like we, at least homicide or like any type of homicide is like very tiered. Whereas like assault charges, same with sexual assault charges. Maybe we should I think sexual assault charges need to be tiered. Like we have like, in Canada, we got rid of like the actual charge of rape, like I want to say 20-ish, maybe a little bit more years ago. There used to be a charge in our criminal law books that was like literally specifically rape, penetrative rape. And they actually got rid of that charge, and everything now is just under sexual assault, which I don't like because I think there's like actually like different types of sexual assault that could probably be charged pretty differently. Fuck, this is gonna, she threw an open water bottle and it splashed on them. Like in America, there's different types of assault as well. Yeah, I said it's harder to talk about America because like your laws do change from state to state. I think even your criminal laws change state to state, if I'm not wrong. Just because you have more states' rights down there, whereas like Canada, a lot of shit is federal. Don't know, you might have some diseases that could transfer with water though. Anything that's been in contact. Yeah, but of course, like if like those things are like if those things are toxic or you can find like toxic evidence in them, then you can charge higher, right? Like obviously if it comes to court and they want to say like, hey, look, the evidence we found was like there was either acid in this or there were like alternative substances, or like it was there was like toxic issues with like the water or whatever, you can like up your charge later on, or you can present that as evidence in court as like an aggravating thing. But like if it was like found to be a clean water bottle, like throwing a water bottle at a police officer probably should, I don't know if that should be like, well, actually, let's see, what is a felony battery of police? Also, I don't like the fact that we charge crimes against police officers worse than crimes against like a regular citizen, and people are gonna fight with me about that, and I have fought with other people about that. But like if you assault the police officer, I don't know if that should be any worse than assaulting any other citizens. I don't know what it's like in the States, but in Canada we actually have separate sections in our criminal code that are like if you commit this act against a regular person, it's like one type of charge. Whereas if you commit it against a police officer, it's actually a separate charge, and it's like considered worse. And I don't think I like that. I don't like that we like, because I feel like police get into more of these situations and people are more likely to fight back in that situation than other situations. And yeah, I don't know. I don't like the fact that we charge it differently. Cop beats a civilian, but God forbid you chuck a plastic bottle at them. Yeah. There's Class C, Class A, third, second, first degree aggravated assault. Okay. Okay, that's better then. I want to actually let me check. Felony battery of a police officer is classified as a third degree felony. As such, offenses is punishable up to 5 years in prison or 5 years of probation. Okay. Okay, that's not terrible. 5 years would be excessive. For like something like the water bottle thing. Do you smoke weed? I do, but not very often. Very minimal these days. Is someone, are you gonna comment on my voice? It's just I'm tired. I used to smoke it a little bit more, but it was because I have pretty bad insomnia and I used it to like help with that. But I tried to like, I never got like super addicted or anything. I would use it like a couple of times a month to help me sleep, but I haven't really used it in a few months other than for like recreational like party stuff. Or not party stuff, but just like hanging out with friends. I don't do it that much. Also, to be clear, it's legal where I am. No, I'm a stoner too, lol. Assault charges. Canada. Yeah, I don't know. I felt back on it just because I wasn't as interested. Why is... Oh, because I'm fucking Yahoo. Why the fuck are we Googling with Yahoo? Jesus. Why was that? Oh, it's because I never use Chrome. I'm switching over to using Chrome for stream so I don't accidentally pull up any of my like personal documents on like my... Because I use Firefox. I'm a Firefox user and people are going to roast the shit out of me for that. I'm aware. But I don't use Chrome, so I'm like, I'm gonna start using Chrome for stream just so I don't accidentally like pull up like my school email or like anything else from personal life onto stream. It's not gonna... What is this? I don't want this. I just want to go to Google. What the fuck do I just... What's happening? What the fuck? Okay, wait, hold on. What am I doing wrong here? There we go. Salt. That was sad to look at. I'm sorry, guys. Charges. Canada. Oops. Oh, speaking of criminal law stuff, I actually went and watched court cases this year. Team Firefox. See, thank you. Everyone makes fun of me because I use Firefox, and they're like, "You're so old," because I use Firefox and everyone else uses Chrome. But I was like, "Look, my dad started me up on Firefox when I started using my laptop when I got my first laptop, and I've just stuck with it ever since because I like it." Now, Firefox is the future, probably the way to go with the Manifest v3 changes Chromium-based browsers have to implement. Wait, what are the... Wait, I have no idea what that is. What are Manifest v3 changes? am I ahead of... Manifest v3 basically kills adblock. Oh, shit. That sucks. That's stupid as hell. Oh, well, everyone get on my level then. I'm using fucking Firefox forever. Just go to the... There we go. Canadian criminal law sites. Let's go there. So we have assault. Person commits assault when without the consent of another person. So these are the different ones. For the purpose of this section, no consent is obtained when the complainant submits or does not resist by reason of the application of force to complainant or to a person other... Wait. Oh, yeah. I thought you couldn't consent to assault. Or is that, where an accused alleges that he believes that the complainant consented to the conduct in the subject matter charge, of judge is satisfied with sufficient evidence that if they believe the jury... Oh, I thought you couldn't consent to assault. But that might have actually been... I was doing a criminal law class and we discussed that you couldn't... that you can't consent to assault, but that might have been an older thing. I don't know. I have to look more into that. Do you think... Wait, okay, I have a question for chat. This is a really weird question, but it's been debated a lot. Should you be able to consent to, like, duels? Like, if you wanted to duel your friend to, like, fight to the death, do you think that should be, like, something that you can consent to under law? Like, if both people sign, like, heavy contracts and say, like, there can't be any murder charges because we, like, both consent to this? Because I have always said that we should be able to do this, because I think it'd be so much better for fixing all of our problems if we could just duel them out like that. I say yes, left freedom ring. How does that work? I don't know. I think like if you can set up like proper contracts and both people like, and like you have to sign them in front of like a proper like I don't know, in court or something, like please beat my ass. Hey, okay, that's just kinky. No, I think you should be able to like go in front of a judge, take like a basic contract, like right, like a preset one, and then add your own terms to it. You bring it to a judge, you both have to sign it in front of the judge, and then it's like MMA fights is consensual assault. True. Duels are the same. But like duels have like the added outcome of like potentially, I mean, I guess MMA fights you can like potentially die, but people usually stop once somebody's out. But like with a duel, you would fight to the death. I think it would be interesting. It wouldn't work because there would be no way to properly know who was actually consenting and who was being forced. Yeah, but that's why I think like you should have to have like legal aid. Like I don't think this is something people should be able to do on their own. Like you can't just like make up a contract and sign it, and then like if someone dies, you're off the hook. I think like I just think it'd be fun. I think society would be so much fun if we could have duels come back. Sorry, random tangent, stupid tangent. I've thought about this for so long in my life just because I'm like, I think it'd be good if we could just like fight our battles out. Yeah, witness to a third party, but like not even just like a third party witness. I think you should have to do it in court so that like you're oversight by a judge and you get like defense counsel, or not defense counsel, like you get counsel provided who like help you like mediate and make sure that like you're doing this all consensually, and then you're good. Yes, you can consent to assault. In a way, we were talking the lower tier assaults, though, like Class A and Class C. Oh, okay, yeah. Because I was gonna say, like, I feel like all of a sudden, like, BDSM, like, stuff like that, like, not to get sexual, but, like, stuff like that, like, people get, like, fucked up pretty hard during those type of things, but, like, you can consent to, like, that situation. So I guess you would have to be able to consent to assault. Okay. Let's finish going through this article and see. So it does look like she was, because she even said in like the video that she had been placed in the men's like unit, and the person who is like the judge seemed to like not be able to like do anything about it, which it makes sense because I don't think the judge oversights like where you end up. They just like mediate your interaction. She's okay. Dragon was then sent to the men's unit at Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center before being released without bail on Wednesday. Representatives for the influencer said her imprisonment in the men's unit was extremely disturbing and dangerous. This is the thing. I think it kind of, like, especially for the charges when you're, like, charging for someone for being naked. I don't know. This whole thing, like, Nikita Dragun is, like, a fully transitioned, like, looks like a woman. I'm pretty sure she's had, like, full surgeries, too. I feel like putting her, even if she's in a separate area, it just makes no sense to put like someone like Nikita Dragun in a men's unit. I think there's like more arguments to be had for someone who's like maybe like early in a transition or pre-op, like that's a completely different situation, but this seems pretty obvious that you wouldn't put this person who's very obviously trans and very obviously a woman in the men's section. It just like, if yeah, that seems insane to me that you would ever do that. Representatives for the influencers, oh wait, we brought that. Despite the complaints, Dragun arrest affidavit lists her as having requested to be recognized as male, according to NBC News. Wait, what? Wait, really? Okay, wait, now I'm a little confused. The arrest affidavit lists her as having requested to be recognized as male. Huh. Why did that open up? Fuck off. Holy shit, what is happening? Oh, this site is garbage. Okay, wait a second. Nope, doesn't want to close. What is... Nice. Good job, Daily Mail, with your sites. Okay, cool. Glad that's not working. That's why she's in 3rd degree. Yeah. Yeah, I guess like that makes sense. Like it's just a lower tier assault. I think that that's the one thing that's probably different about the States, because I'm thinking in Canadian law, like you have assault and then you have things that like can aggravate assault, like assault with a weapon. What are the other ones? There's like assault with an aggravated assault. Like there's like the different charges above assault, but assault is your baseline, and I don't think you have tiers of like different like levels of assault that are just like very like low level assault versus very high level assault. Like it's all just considered assault, and I don't like that. Like I said, I think it's the same thing with sexual assault cases. It's like we should have like different charges and different like tiers for like different types of sexual assaults and assaults, because it just makes sense that like someone who's like not looking to do like a lot of harm, or like doesn't like is in a situation where the harm isn't as great, there probably shouldn't be the same level of consequences in that situation. Like if you hook up oh god, what's a good example of this? I think if you're hooking up with someone and things just go a little bit more awkward, but the one person feels after like they didn't consent to everything, but like you had a consensual interaction, but things went weird, and that person reports, like that's a very different situation than being like someone like forcefully putting themselves on you, right? Like these are two very different situations, and I feel like for both of them to be classified as like sexual assault, obviously they can get different sentences because like when they're heard in court, like they'll see like the circumstances. However, I still think like it would just be better to actually break down the classifications of assault or sexual assault so that you can actually like charge along the lines and like put maximum caps for like lower tier stuff than higher tier stuff, because like all of a sudden if like it's all sexual assault, then you have no idea what that determination is going to be, even though like if your case was much lower in its let's see, what is it, like aggravated circumstances, like you still have the potential to be charged really high because it's all considered assault or sexual assault, even if like your case was much lower, had much lower stakes than like other cases. Anyway, I don't know. I think we could do a lot more in our criminal law to like break down these charges way more instead of having them so open-ended. That's a lot of problems in the Canadian Criminal Code. I remember when I took my criminal law class, like so much of the wording and verbiage in Canadian criminal law is like so vague that it can be interpreted in a lot of ways, and I think that's like one of the biggest criticisms of like the way the Canadian law is written. I also have a lot of problems with the way it's written because it's very, very complex, like the way they write it. So like I think the complexity is what allows for the vagueness, because when the writing is so complex, it can be interpreted in a lot of ways. But it also means like a lot of people don't know how to read the like word of the law in Canada, which super sucks. I don't know what it's like in the States because I haven't read like as much legal stuff from the States, but I know in Canada that's like one of the big criticisms is just how hard it is actually to like find out what laws mean. Let's see, you're assuming a lot of things that, wait, the belief in trans, so the belief she said that she didn't request otherwise. Yeah, but we're assuming, okay, so the assumption comes from the fact that like she went in her statement to the judge was like, can I be switched into the women's unit, right? So like, obviously I think the assumption there would be like she didn't want to be in the men's unit. So now it looks like the affidavit is saying something else, which is possible. The belief in trans, if so, the belief. But like the belief in trans stuff, like this person is like they're a public figure. Like we know like they've been transitioned for a long time and they live their life pretty much as a woman. They look like a woman. I'm pretty sure they've had the surgery, like they've had like their like post-op. So like, I don't know. It just feels like more dangerous to put that person like in a male's unit. Did she try to go for the I'm male, can't arrest me for tits out? Probably. I'm assuming that's probably what it was, like the like legally, because she's like her sex would be male, then she would be able to have her tits out. I can imagine they would try to make that defense, but then when that fell through, then she should have like, if you're gonna charge on the fact that she was a woman with her tits out, then you can't put her in the men's unit because it makes no sense. But if you are not charging on the fact that like, if like that charge didn't come into play, then like that's a little bit of a different story. Yeah, I said that before you had read the affidavit. Yeah. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, I was not paying attention to that. Oh yeah, you said, oh, there it is. My bad. I should have read your next statement. This would be a lot easier. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wonder if I should bring people into Discord to chat. I'm kind of tempted. I trust some of you guys. Any of you who I know have known longer, I'm like more tempted to bring you guys into chat and just like into like actually discuss. Maybe I will here. If you're interested in coming on and talking about this more generally, because Preacher, you've been in my chat, like anyone who's basically been in my chat for like longer than like a couple of months that I've seen around, I like am more comfortable letting you guys onto stream. Trans should be in the gender cell block they are assigned at birth. Yeah, but what if the person's like fully transitioned? Like, don't you think it's dangerous to put people who have fully transitioned in with people who, like their sex assigned at birth? Like, I don't know if you've seen Nikita Dragon, but she is very, very womanly. Nick can't be trusted. Yeah, I don't trust Nickmer either, okay? Don't worry about it. Got my eye on you. Hi, Ugly Truth, how's it going? Because the thing is, like, I don't think the jail has time to cater to criminals. Yeah, but you still want a safe environment in your jails, no matter what, right? Like, that, like the point of jail is not to, like, you're not trying to, like, add punishments. The punishment is being in prison, but, like, if someone is, like, jails are safe, no, but we should probably work to make them as safe as possible, right? Like, if you didn't care about jails being safe, there'd be no reason to have like prison guards who like break up fights and stuff in there. Your French words can't ever be trusted. Trans prisoners should be transferred to a safe place, aka oh god. No, I just think like depending on this conversation is so nuanced because it depends on like where people probably are in their transition is gonna like influence your opinion a lot. But someone who's like fully transitioned, looks like a woman, lives their life as a woman, has had surgeries, then it's, yeah, probably at that point you should like have to like be in the prison that you've like you more identify with. On paper that sounds great, but in reality no one's gonna cater to a criminal. I mean, we do it with like white collar criminals, but you know, that's a whole different story. It's not catering to criminals, it's like making decisions that's like best for the prison system though, right? Like you don't want someone like Nikita Dragon in the male prison because it's an issue of like safety more than anything. Also, if you have it like the other way, like there's a trans guy who looks like a full, like what if there's a giant like buff like trans dude who ends up like back in the women's prison? You probably don't want that either. Like these things are like, and people always look one, I don't know. I can't like, it's hard to explain to someone jail is not a hotel, this is punishment. I doubt you would get much movement from the DOJ on the subject. I mean, we have in the States, like, I'm pretty sure like there's like half the states do allow people to like, go into the prisons where like they're assigned to their gender identity, right? Like based on their gender identity and not on their sex assigned at birth. So like there is a lot of places in the States that already do this. It's not like it's like a new thing. There's no regulations for safety. Yeah, exactly. It's not like we just like throw people in prison and say, good luck, fuck it. Like, we have regulations. There's a reason, like I said, there's a reason why prison guards are like forced to like break up fights and stuff. If we really didn't care about safety in prisons, they would just let like all the inmates kill each other. But we do care about safety in these institutions because you probably want, if you want to better the outcomes of people getting out of prisons, you make the prisons better. Like, I don't know if you want like high recidivism rates, but like if you want to ignore gender identity based on chromosomes XX, okay. What about a woman born at birth with like chromosomes that match male identity? Because that happens. So if you start testing every single person for chromosomes, you're going to have cases of people who have the wrong chromosomes, and then you're going to throw them in with other people of a different gender. Because there is women born with, wait, which one is, fuck, are men or women XX? I always get this mixed up. Fucking dyslexic, bro. Either way, there's people born like into the body and gender of one sex and have the, why is there a sparkle in my water? Oh, Jesus Christ. There's glitter everywhere. Should I just drink the glitter? Should I drink plastic? I don't care. Not a bad idea. Wait, why? Wait, are you saying that to like the letting them just kill each other in prisons? Where the Y ones, the little line from the X was cut off to give us the penis. As a super cat capitalist stockholder in private prisons. I just want more prisoners. Jesus Christ. That's the problem with America, okay? Stop privatizing your fucking prisons. That is the worst idea I've ever heard of. Whoever decided that your prisons were gonna be fucking privatized was a moron. Why would you privatize an institution like that? But, you know, America making bad decision when it comes to... Let's push gangster rap. If you think gangster rap is what's causing crime, you're also stupid. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to start banning it. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to start banning comments. This is getting bad. Y'all wildin'. Oh god. Jesus Christ. Are you guys mostly American? Maybe this is like a difference in like viewpoints of like... Ed, please get in my Discord. I need help. Correlation is causation though. Yeah, of course. Correlation is always causation. We know this. The whole gender identity problem is not one of the wardens and the COs. If anything, they need to be placed in solitary if safety be... Okay, the problem is solitary confinement is also like super damaging to most people. It's the reason why there's like usually time limits on how long people can be in solitary confinement. Rex, we did not insult you. Wait, what? I didn't say you insulted me. Solitary confinement is like used well, not infrequently, but is considered that it shouldn't be used for long periods of time because of like the calling us Americans. Aren't you? I don't know if you're American. I said, are you guys American? I asked. Psychological torture and social skills extremely diminished. Yeah, in like very short periods of time. Like solitary confinement is like, I think after like 3 or 4 days, like people start hallucinating really hard. Like the effects of like solitary confinement are insane. Oh yeah, 3 days for your brain to start being damaged in solitary confinement. I don't know if that's true or if it seems very fast. Yeah, but like 3 or 4 days without any social interaction, any like brain stimulation, and like very little access to light, your brain will start, like your brain starts deteriorating really fast. It's insane. Oh. Again, criminals cause damage to be there in the first place. It's not up to prisons to provide comfortable stay. No, but okay. If you want to actually reduce crime in your country, in your city, in your state, whatever it is, the route to go is not to like look at crime as something to be punished, but something to be altered or fixed. So you need to fix this. People don't choose to commit crime because it's fun. People choose to commit crime because there's usually a lot of underlying circumstances that lead people to commit crime. It's not a good decision, but you also can't like entirely blame people. You want me to join a voice chat? Yeah. Actually, Ed, can you join voice? Wait, do you have time? Are you staying up for a little bit? Just so you can help me moderate within a chat or within Discord a little bit. Also, yeah, Preacher, if you want to come on, because I trust you to be on my voice chat. If you join the community hangout, I can drag you into my stream room. Just promise not to do anything fucking weird. Recidivism is huge, though, because they're not learning anything. Yeah, exactly. Like in Canada, we've started working towards more rehabilitative programs, especially among youth and especially among Native American populations. And it's actually had like major impacts like on actually reducing recidivism, because prison, unfortunately, is one of the worst ways to actually address crime. Preacher, I'll join you in 1 second. Plenty of people do crimes for the thrill. Yeah, well, there's a chunk of people who do crimes for the thrill. It is not a big proportion of people that just do it for the thrill, or at least like thrill is not the motivating factor. Like the thrill that comes from crime also is usually based in something else. Like you're probably very understimulated in other parts of your life, so that's where you look for like that engagement. Criminal behavior should be corrected, not punished. I won't. Well, yeah, I trust you. While crime don't allow bail bonding in America, people can pay for freedom, usually a small percentage of their actual amount. Yeah, I think like the pay to, what is it called? Pay bail, whatever it's called. I don't know if I like that. Sometimes, like in Ed's case, punishment is, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, but she's literally a woman. I don't think her being afraid of being raped or hurt in prison is asking for a lot. True. Are you for the death penalty? No, not typically. That's a really nuanced conversation. I can get into that after. If it's non-violent, I don't mind bail. Yeah, that's probably true. I think like bail but I don't know. Let me try. How do I move you? Where is the move to? There we go. Stream room. Hello? Hello?
What's up?
Oh shit! Hold on. You're really quiet. 1 second. Hello.
I
How's
need
it going?
to turn myself up, or you got it?
You're still. I have you all the way up, and you're still quiet.
Let's see here. Does that sound better?
You sound like a lot more intense. Wait, hold on. Let me. Actually, I just realized it's my computer. Wait, talk again.
Talking again.
Okay.
Testing mic 1 2.
Undo whatever you just did, because I realized I'm stupid. I had my volume really far down. I think
Does that sound better?
Yeah, there you go. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Are you from the States? Are you American?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm Oklahoman.
Oh shit. I don't
So
know
like
anything.
right on top of Texas.
All I know about Oklahoma is like there's a play based on it. That's it.
Yeah. That's all. That's everything anyone ever knows.
It's not a very fun state, as I've heard.
Yeah. There's some wild stuff that goes on in Oklahoma. It's got a lot of weird history to it.
There. Okay. What do you want to chat about on this topic?
I was gonna hop up because you were asking questions about like how assault kind of charges kind of work in
Oh,
the
yeah.
U.S.
Maybe US actually has like better criminal charges than us on that one thing, because I don't like. American law is not great. But if you guys have tiered, so like C tier to A tier, so like A tier is like your highest, like that would be like first degree kind of thing.
So it depending on where it works, essentially for the sake of this conversation, like picture like kind of two roads that most states can kind of use.
Okay.
The first one, it just kind of goes from like least to like most heinous, and they just go C tier, A tier, and then third degree aggravated, second degree aggravated, and then first degree aggravated.
Okay.
The other road that you can look at and kind of goes down is they kind of block them off into sections. So kind of like if you think of C tier, like how you said before, how like kind of C tier was the worst, and well C tier was the easiest, but the A tier was the worst.
Yeah.
Then imagine them taking those categories and then just putting first, second, and third degree. But there's like a first degree C tier and a first degree A tier. There's a second degree C tier.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I think I kind of get it.
So go for it.
I was just gonna say, so it seems like you guys have like a lot more options when it comes to assault charges of like how someone can be charged, rather than everything being charged as assault and then the judge deciding on like what the punishment for that is, which is actually really good.
Yeah. So the problem with a lot of American courtrooms is, a lot of times they don't actually use all of these things because a lot of people don't actually know what all they can get. So most people only know about kind of like either pleading up or pleading down. They don't know like how to, switch up how things are kind of explained, how they explain, like how they're done.
Okay. So yeah, that's even a problem in Canada of just like in education when it comes to law stuff, like most people don't know what their options are. So
yeah.
I know we're talking a lot about the prison stuff. How do you feel? What is your stance on like punishment of crime generally? Are you like a big like punishment guy, or are you more like we probably need a more rehabilitative system or something like in between? Because America is like much, much more punitive than Canada is. And where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, where I stand is there always needs to be punishment necessarily. Like in order for a system to work, there has to be punishment. So if you do something wrong, there has to be at least the fear of punishment.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it kind of falls apart otherwise.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can't just be like, yo, you did something wrong, but we'll find a way to rehabilitate you. Like, but there's got to be like a punishment on the table if rehabilitation doesn't work, or even if you want rehabilitation, there has to be punishment.
Yeah.
Going down the road. Now, with that being said, the belief should be rehabilitation, because the problem with how America looks at the legal system, kind of we look at it purely from punishment perspective and not from like how can we resolve this issue. So like for Americans, a lot of Americans see the prison system, it's like you're being punished. Like that's all it is. Like,
Yeah.
if you ask an American, if you're in prison, you're getting punished. Like no one looks at it as like this is a great chance to like fix my life or like
Yeah.
solve my issues or whatnot.
Well,
Because that's just not what it's for.
I think a lot of the like or like the wrong assumptions people have about like when it comes to crime and punishment is like this idea that like punishment actually will fix criminality. Because I think a lot of people like, we always talk about like people doing like these calculations of like punishment and pleasure, and I think most people generally like make those calculations where like, yeah, I could go and steal things, but like I also don't want to go to prison, so like I know that the punishment outweighs like the whatever the benefit I would get out of this. But I think they assume that everyone thinks like that, and I think what we don't realize is that a lot of people who commit crime don't make those calculations the same way, or they don't think about the calculations the same way. So when like Americans think about like punishing crime, they're like, oh, but if we punish them, they won't want to do it again, or if they think there's punishment, they won't want to do it. So that's why people always think like, oh, if we like, you know, go tough on crime, increase like the prison times and stuff like that, like people will be deterred from crime. But it doesn't usually work like that, or at least it's not like a linear correlation.
Yeah, the problem with a lot of people who look at the American kind of system is they look at people doing these analysis as if they're already in a good scenario.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, like you're like, people are like, I wouldn't rob a bank because I know I would go to jail and I have the money in the bank.
Yeah.
But the person who is robbing the bank does not have that situation. They don't have that thought. They're not a clear peace of mind in the situation. Like the money is the most important thing that they're missing in their life. It's like if you talk to someone whose like kid was missing, like they're not in a reliable state of mind to make choices and make decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Even if... Oh, sorry, I was going to reply to one of the Nairus. I have no idea how to say your name. I'm really bad at pronunciation. Jail should scare the crap out of people enough to make them stop and think before doing crimes in the first place. It should be as a severe deterrent first and foremost, in my opinion. Look at countries that have high... Okay, it's really hard to compare America to other places because like the actual like society and like living situations of America is very, very different. Like your economic disparity and all these other things are going to factor in a lot. So it's hard to compare across countries of being like, well, they have like these type of prison systems and they fare way better than America. Because you could also make that same argument, like you compare America to Sweden, and Sweden has very relaxed prisons and they have very low crime rates compared to America. So it doesn't necessarily like come that like high punishment equals low crime. It usually has more to do with like how your society is set up, and that is what will inform a lot of your crime rates. But also, like I just said, like straight deterrent out of fear, it doesn't work for most people who are going to commit crime. Like up until a certain point, it does. Like if you have like a 5-year punishment on a crime, people might be a little bit more deterred from doing it because they know like there's some punishment there. But if you increase like a 10-year punishment to a 20-year punishment, it makes almost like no difference whether a person will commit that crime or not. Because at that point, like the punishment is so like grand in either sense that like increasing the punishment at that point doesn't actually deter people. Deterrence, like increasing punishment after a certain point, like the deterrence like levels just fall off completely. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to reply to that comment quick.
No, yeah, and like on top of that, like yes, there should be like that is the right idea that jail should scare the crap out of people and you should be not wanting to go to jail. Like you shouldn't want to be like going to jail to start up your new life or start up your new career. You shouldn't be like, well, it's time to go to prison.
Yeah.
But at the same time, high punishments and low levels of crime also just intrinsically may not even be a good thing. It is. Like you may not necessarily even want a low crime rate in your existence, because imagine if high punishment, low crime, imagine if someone went out and stole something from somebody and there was those societies where they cut off your hand. Like technically, like there was high punishment and there was very low crimes. There's very low things of people stealing things because you could lose your hand.
Yeah.
But no one would want to live in a society where like small crimes or petty crimes deal in high levels of punishment.
Well, not just that. I was going to say is like you start to deter out really intense crimes. So like you might start deterring out like, you know, murder. You might deter out like assault. You might deter out like, you know, extreme theft. But what happens usually in societies where you start to deter a lot of crime, and we saw this like, I think it was in the 1800s. Oh, thank you for the follow. A lot of times, I think it was like the 1800s. It was like early American society. Actually, so probably earlier than the 1800s. I don't know what I'm thinking. Early American societies that had like very, very little crime because everyone was immigrating over. the crime rates were really low, but what happened is they started to criminalize other behaviors that weren't necessarily what we consider
Yep.
criminal today. So all of a sudden you might get rid of all the crime that you have currently. You'll just start to humans will automatically just criminalize and any deviant behavior in a new society, right? You can get rid of every crazy crime that we think of now completely out of society. Humans will just create new crimes. They'll just start criminalizing other behaviors that they think are deviant out of the society that now exists. So that's the issue with also saying oh, if we just get rid of all crime, we won't have any crime anymore. It's no, humans will just make new things crimes.
Humans need dragons to slay.
Yeah.
And that's what we find out in society. So it works in politics too.
100%.
Eventually, even if you beat your biggest enemy in politics, eventually, if you want to get your group motivated, if you need people to get going, they're going to find something else to get angry about, to get upset about, to motivate them to do things. And you have to find that if you want society kind of to do its thing.
Yeah. This is sorry, I'm just gonna go through comments quickly. This is saying you're being good, you're good Christian because you don't want to go to hell, not because you want to be a good person. You're doing it for the wrong reasons. True, actually. I am not taking new callers on Discord right now. Shit, free housing, free clothes, free food. What's there to complain about? Lack of freedom, unsafe conditions, lack of opportunity. Freedom is probably the big one. Lack of freedom and control of your own life. So pretty bad. Recidivism is higher than ever, even with things like 3 strike laws. No rehabilitation in jails, and conviction rates have never been higher. I flat out disagree with that jails do anything to deter crime, and in fact promote more crime because people become unable to live in society anymore. Actually, this is a really good point. I disagree that jails don't do anything, but the ways that jails are set up right now, they tend to actually produce a lot more crime after, which is why, especially in Canada, is a good case study right now because we see both the rehabilitative side and the punitive side. We still have prisons and jails, and people still get sent to prison and jail. But we also have a lot of people who go through rehabilitative stages and rehabilitative programs instead of going straight through the court system, especially for young people. And we find that their rates of recidivism are way lower than those that are come out of punitive sanctions.
Yeah, it's because that's stigma as well. Because
Yeah.
I mean, stigma also is just a big issue, just of just going to jail in general.
Well, I mean, trying to get a job when you get out of jail is almost impossible in most places because most people don't want to hire an ex-convict, even if you just got it doesn't matter what crime you committed. It could have been a petty theft thing, but if you have a criminal record, your chances of getting a job lower significantly. And this is actually I'm in criminology, but one of the things that I want to work to in the future is actually setting programs up for people who are coming out of jails that actually help them get jobs. So
nice.
helps them write resumes, sets them up a mail address so that they can collect checks and stuff like that. Because one of the big things we see is homelessness once you get out of the system. A lot of people don't have houses, and you can't get a job without an email or without a house address because they have nowhere to send your check to. It would also help them get clothing for interviews, make sure that they have people who kind of prepare them for those things, and they would also reach out to services or places that would probably try to connect with companies that are willing to hire ex-convicts. So that's something I want to work to creating in the future in my city. So yeah.
And that's what I speak about when I'm talking about high punishments for low crimes, when jail is a high level deterrent, high level to punishment for crime. Punishment doesn't always just mean a smackdown you're in prison or whatnot. The punishment might be you're branded as a criminal your entire life. Back in the day when you might steal something, they might just brand you on the neck of just hey, this is someone who tried to steal stuff from the government, or this is someone who tried to steal something from the church, or this is someone who tried to steal something from the hierarchy or the ruling class, and they brand you on the neck. I mean, that's not technically crazy punishment we would think of, oh my God, it's just a tattoo on our neck. Most of us like getting tattoos. Some of us will get full sleeves in our lives, but it's the meaning and that punishment behind it that's so damaging to a lot of people. It's those punishments that are lasting and long and have that high effect on one's life.
Yeah, 100%.
That you might be able to get rid of crime, but the crime that you do leave may be so punishing and so painful for the people there. I mean,
exactly.
Cause unknown effects.
For sure. And like you said, the stigma there is a huge thing, right? It doesn't matter what the crime was, but if they just see that you've committed a crime, they won't think to ask about what the crime was. They'll just automatically stigmatize you. So
yeah, if you got the brand on your neck, then they know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They're not going to risk it.
Let's see. So it's a matter of perspective. LOL. Okay, let's consider murder not such a bad thing. Therefore, we won't have as much crime. Okay, you're actually genuinely correct with the idea that if you get rid of laws on certain things, you will have less crime because crime is completely constructed by our society, right? So you're actually not wrong. But the reason that we criminalize certain things is usually because the damage they do to other people or like in society or society in general, right? Why we criminalize like assault, murder, all these things because they're actually really damaging to people around us and they can like lead to the destruction of society because if people are constantly fighting and getting away with it, you're probably not going to have much progress in the society. But there is a lot of things we criminalize that are stupid things to criminalize. For example, weed stuff in America is like stupidly criminalized. Why?
Oh yeah.
Right? Like these are things that like we just choose to criminalize them based on like usually moral factors. Like there's a lot of like what we call moral crimes. So like there's things that like don't necessarily, or like what is it? Like victimless crimes too, like things that don't actually necessarily harm somebody but are considered harmful to society. Jaywalking, things that are like harmful to society, and people like, and we criminalize them. So yeah, like unironically, you're kind of right. Like if you change the what things are crimes, then you'll have less crime. But like again, like we said, humans want something to like fight against. People like feel like they need to have an enemy, and like we see it with politics and we see it with crime is like as soon as you start to get rid of major crime, if you get rid of a lot of crime, if you all of a sudden got rid of like all murder, all assaults, all of the stuff, every crazy crime, the stuff that like remains would become much more punishable, and like we would just make more stuff that's deviant. Like humans just do that. It's a weird phenomenon and we don't know why it happens, but it seems that humans just like to have an enemy.
And that's the thing. The whole thing that also brings back to like you understand the concept of like why murder needs to be bad, but like assault. This brings like back to the Nikita assault thing. Like assault is, we see assault as bad. Like we hear the word assault as bad, just like we hear the word murder is bad. But assault doesn't always, as crazy as it is, assault isn't always necessarily as terrible as it quote unquote sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we started trying to find. That's how we try to start finding different ways to categorize assault. So like a Class C assault doesn't actually mean you've like physically like first degree assaulted someone.
Yeah.
It can just be that actually serves in a lot of places. A Class C actually serves no prison time. Like the highest you can get is a fine of up to $500.
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
could just mean that you were just being disorderly out in the public and you were just, you know, like you were shoving people trying to get through places, or like, you know, you were with your friends and you were causing, and people were causing a disturbance, or just something incredibly provocative that people didn't need to be involved in, like children, for instance, if you're running around, you know, pushing people naked or whatnot, slinging your dick in people's face.
Yeah. It's like, it's all these things. It's like, yeah. And I think we talked about this earlier, is like the lack of, knowledge around crime. Sorry if I'm stumbling a lot. There's like a lack of knowledge around crime. So like, you know, an employer is going to look at your criminal record and see assault, and it doesn't matter if it says Class C or Class A. They're just going to see assault on your record and probably be deterred from hiring you just based on that. But it's because we have like I mean, even I didn't know like about the different classes of assaults in America, even though I look at law quite a bit. It's like, and I'm Canadian, so obviously I have a little bit more.
And it's also unfair to you because once again, I mean, as Americans, as states, it also changes because some states actually don't have that. They don't have high levels of different categories of assault. It's just kind of all one thing.
Oh, true. Yeah, like that's the thing, is I'm trying to figure out like because in Canada it's super easy. If you look at Canada, criminal law is like one of our federal jurisdiction, whereas like in the States, your criminal law can be changed state to state. So it is even harder for even people in the States. Like for me, it's one thing to not know, but if you're in the States and you have no idea what your like local laws are, that's like a pretty big problem, which is why I think those are probably things we should discuss more in high school. But it's also like, what do you take out of the curriculum? Which education is another thing I could talk about for hours, but we won't get into that. Apparently owning 2 vibrators in Arizona is a crime. That is true. There's a lot of weird sex laws in America. There's a lot of weird things I learned in my criminal law class. Like there's a bunch of weird sex laws in America.
But a lot of sex laws in America aren't actually practiced or followed.
No,
you know,
they're
like,
not.
No one's out
but
here.
it's just
no one's out here like
that...
doing like a dildo census out here.
It's just crazy that they're on the books, because you like look at stuff like that and you're like, how did that ever like get passed? Like, why was this ever passed? And you just like, there's like, I mean, there's laws like that everywhere in the world. Like, I know you can look up a list of like the craziest laws in the world, and there's things that were like put on the books back in like the 1800s, and just no one ever like thought to like rewrite them or take them off the books, because just they never got used or put into practice very often. So they just kind of got left on the books. So like, I think there's up until like the 1990s, I think in Canada, there was like laws about witches, and like, oh, you could be a witch, you could be a practicing witch, and that's legal. But if you faked being a witch, that was illegal.
You know, in all honesty, I'm controversial opinion. I'm kind of pro that law.
Wait, why?
You know?
I'm okay
'Cause
with
you
real
gotta
witches,
know
just
who's
not
a
fake
witch
ones.
and who isn't a witch. You know?
Yeah, true. Everyone
It's
on
kinda like
Halloween, everyone on Halloween is getting arrested though.
When you think about it, like they're like, all right, fine, there can be witches, but we gotta know who's a witch and who isn't a witch, you know?
True.
And like, it's probably a step up from the whole burning witch thing. You know, before that law, they were probably just burning all the witches.
True.
So there's probably one like soul dude out there who's probably had the hots for a witch or something. He was like, hey guys, listen, there was witches out here. We can't burn them all. So what if like we just figure out who all the witches are? They let us know who the witches are. But if anybody's out here making up witch stories or making up witch tales or whatnot, causing problems, we just get rid of them. And then
Sure.
somebody was probably like, that makes a lot of sense. That's a lot easier than like trying to kill out all these witches. And that's how that law improved.
Probably something like that. I don't know. If you guys ever want to have a good time, just look up like the weirdest laws in the world, and you'll start reading shit that's like insane. In the USA, people go into prison for nonviolent crimes and learn how to be violent and then reoffend violent crimes on their second conviction at a rate of almost 70%, and the recidivism for violent crime is 60%. It's quite literally a business to get as many people in prison and keep them there. Cornhill Wallace, I love you. You always come up with so many facts. But yeah, this is like super true. Like we've actually seen people like not only recidivate on like the same crime that they went in on, but end up doing worse crimes once they're out, because like now you've set them out on a worse path. So once they're out in the world, their only options are crime because they can't get hired. They probably don't have a lot of connections. They lose out on a lot of opportunities, especially if they got into the system at a young age. And now what's your options? Like you end up turning back to crime. Usually you fall into the same groups that you ended up with before that got you into crime, and then you're probably back in the system within a year.
Yep.
Let's see. I believe in moral decline is also a significant contributor to increasing crime rates. I'm not a religious person, but a lot of people seem to have difficulty finding moral compass outside of religious guidance. Maybe jail should proselytize. I'm not really into that, but whatever works. I don't think the problem is the loss of religion. I think it's the loss of community. I saw a couple of other streamers talking about this. Like one of the guys I watch is Destiny, and he did discuss of how like I think there used to be, and I kind of agree, it's because like one of the biggest things is like having proper communities can keep people from committing crime. I don't know if it was like religion itself and the morals it instilled, but it was the fact that you had community and people you were like, your attachments are a really, really big indicator of like whether you'll end up in crime or not. So like attachments to good groups will keep you out of crime. So like if you have good communities, you're way less likely to end up a crime than if you're in a bad community. So I don't think it's necessarily the loss of religions, but it's the loss of like community that religion provided. So a lot of people aren't going to church on the weekend. You're not meeting like people in your local community. You're not meeting your neighbors. People are way more antisocial generally these days because we have so much more connection online. But connections online aren't the same type of attachment that will deter criminal behavior as the ones that you have in your real life. So I think that's like the bigger issue, is like that just people have become so antisocial and so disconnected from each other that I think like crime has risen partly because of that. I also think like there's a lot of other circumstances like I think like the socioeconomic like disparity, like the actual gap between people has become like very, very large. And that's also a very big indicator of crime, is like when you have like communities where you have people who are really, really rich and really, really poor, whether it's in a state.
The higher the disparity, the higher the crime rate.
Yeah, and it's always been an indicator. So like now that we have like increasing disparity in the US, it's probably also a big indicator that like why crime is going up, because people become really disaffected with the system that they're in, because they see people getting richer, they're getting fucked over more and more, and ultimately you're like, what are my other choices? Like it's either starve or commit crime. Those good groups over time won't be considered good groups without an anchoring in morality. Yeah, but like, okay, I was thinking about this the other day. People always talk about how morality comes from a religion, but I think like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the analogy to pork, but like pork in the Bible is like considered a bad thing. Like you're not supposed to eat pork, but people always like speculate that the reason that pork was like was considered like a bad thing to eat in the Bible probably was relevant to the time because pork meat was often very like infected or usually caused like a lot of health issues because of like the way that it was like kept. I think it just tended to like grow bacteria really fast and caused a lot of like health issues. So like people think that like the Bible was probably informed by the practices at the time that people wouldn't eat pork because it would make people sick. So I think like morals are very much the same, as like people had a very like fundamental moral of their society that they probably wrote into the Bible because humans are probably naturally have some level of moral compass, and that was written into the Bible, and then the Bible took credit for creating the morals, but it was probably something that came from people, because people had morals before like religion ever came around, before the Bible was around. People had morals before that. So it seems like it would be weird that like we would make it all the way up to the point of the Bible being created, and then we would say that morals got created, and then people lost morals, and now we're having higher crime rates. I don't know. It seems like a really bad argument to me, if that made any sense.
Well, if I may speak.
Yeah, go
on
nuts.
That Bible thing.
Yeah. Go nuts.
Yeah, I mean, most people, I mean, most Christians nowadays, I mean, they believe you can eat pork. That's like mostly like a Jewish thing. But there's, I mean, the two reasons why people suspect why God was like, yo, stop porking it out with your homeboys was, I mean, was that one reason that you mentioned was either A, they were eating pork and it was very unsanitary, very unhealthy for them. So God was like, you guys need to stop eating pork because it's really like affecting you guys in a terrible way. And the second reason was being that as Jews, essentially, God's chosen people, he wanted them living differently, quote unquote, from different people. And it wasn't necessarily a moral question of why he told them not to eat pork, but simply just a concept of he needed them to live a different lifestyle than actually the people around them.
Yeah, that's potentially true. Yeah.
Them eating pork wasn't actually a moral decision he was telling them to do. The only moral thing he was asking them to do was just to follow what I said, not necessarily what they were doing was the actual thing that was evil.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people misconstrue when God tells them to do something. That if God tells you to do it, that means that the other thing that God could tell you not to, that God didn't tell you to do, is all evil.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think it's probably a mix of the two things. Like, and I think like the morals is probably the same thing. Like, I think there's.
Yeah,
I think,
that's why most people believe that when God said, back when Paul, woke up and he was all like, and God was like, go eat this thing. And he was like, we're not allowed to eat this thing. And then God said, don't say anything is unclean that I say clean. And then by doing so, he made all things clean. Because essentially after they stopped being Jews, they were being Christians. Essentially, God was like, yeah, now that you guys are living, now that you have a different lifestyle set up in stone, essentially Jesus.
Yeah.
Now that rule doesn't need to apply because none of you are Jews. None of you are really promised to the Jewish faith.
Was that New Testament?
Yes.
Okay, that's, yeah. I was like, I don't know as much of the New Testament. I think I was like 12 years old and I got like really into like reading about different religions, and I read like a good chunk of like the Old Testament Bible. I don't think I read the whole thing, but I read so much of it just for funsies kind of thing. So I don't know as much about the New Testament as I do Old Testament probably.
Yeah, so the whole not eating pork thing was one of the commandments, as you know. Mm-hmm. And Christians aren't bound to the commandments. So even like the 10 Commandments, Christians aren't bound to that.
Really?
Yes.
Oh. So, I had no idea. I don't know how Christians practice or like what the
reason why the 10 Commandments are still used so often is, once again, they were so iconic because they were the original 10. They were like the OG. But the 10 Commandments are still necessarily seen. Like those are some of the commandments that even when Jesus came, he didn't like get rid of. So like he didn't toss out. So like there are things like tithe. So like the Jews have rules to tithing. Mm-hmm. Like giving money to the church, giving offerings to the church, and then giving a surplus of your money past what God requests of you. Jesus spoke like you can have a personal relationship with God and choose how much money you give to the church. So like that thing, one of those testaments, that was thrown out. But like, the New Testament, like love your neighbor as much as you love yourself, that was never thrown out. Like Jesus was still like pro that. Like, you still have to love your neighbors.
Okay.
Or like not to be covenant of your neighbor's stuff.
Yeah.
Like Jesus was still like okay with that. That's why the 10 Commandments are still necessarily liked as much, because even though we're still not bound to them as Christians, if we were Christians.
Yeah, it was just stuff that wasn't like gotten rid of in the New Testament.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Online is pretty damn toxic. No responsibility for what you say. You're basically anonymous. Yeah, I think that's like part of the biggest like issues with online culture is like I don't engage on like any of my other platforms. Like I have other social medias. I don't think I ever like post or like do anything with my other social medias that aren't like connected to my like Twitch account, because I have like all my private stuff. Like I don't use my real name on here. But I just think like you like actually engaging online in an anonymous way is just always like so bad. I'll see people make stupid arguments in comments of like posts I read and stuff, and I'm like, I could sit here and argue with you for like 3 paragraphs and spend my time typing comments, but it's not worth it because you'll never change people's minds like that. And that's why I ended up starting a Twitch account, because I was like, maybe that'll be better. Are you gonna say we have an innate morality? Yeah, I think so. I think most humans, like even if you grow up without religion, because you're saying like, what about people who grow up in like societies without religion? Like, what do you say to those people who probably do have some level of morality in them?
Yeah, I think
Like-
unless you're like a literal like sociopath,
Yeah.
like psychopath levels, like I think
I think that's
everyone
what-
has a morality. The question is, where do you draw that morality from? Do
Yeah.
you draw it from like nature? Do you draw it from like some divinity? Do you draw it from just like a principle of like that you made between you
Yeah.
and the person you're interacting with at the time,
Hmm.
or just with society at large?
Yeah, exactly. Because like for me, usually like my morality is like kind of informed. Like how I go about my day-to-day life is like do as minimal harm as you possibly can and like take care of yourself as much as you can. I think like mostly based off the harm principle because I just think it's the easiest one to follow in your day-to-day life to like make good calculations about how to behave. Obviously there's nuances to that, but like I think that's typically. People are so malleable, I believe over time they can be accepted. I'm just trying to read through the comments and see if there's anything.
Go for it.
Of course, you don't, wait, hold on. You don't, to you, morality is simplified to your own opinion. That is why religion is important, whether you believe in God or not, in my opinion. I super disagree with that. I think people probably had morality prior to religion, and people will have morality after religion. And again, you're saying society, you read, was it you who wrote it down here? Society without religion is probably a piece of shit. It's not true. There's a lot of societies that don't have, like, strict religions. Like, there's a lot of spiritual religions, or, like, and they're still religions, but they're not, like, fuck. Those are the, now we
Yeah,
have to
like
get to,
that's the tough thing.
there's like a
'cause,
whole like because like a lot of people like don't consider like so my like I come from like a Sikh background, which is like a sect of like Indian religions. It's a very like I don't know if anyone knows where Punjab is in India, but that's like where I'm from. But like most of those people are Sikh, and so
Gotcha.
it's like a very but like it's a very spiritual religion. Like there's not like a lot of hard lines. It's usually just like, you know, take care of the people around you. Like it's a very like neutral religion. Like there's not a whole lot of commandments or like morality. It's usually just like be nice to other people. And that's usually like where most religions stem is like just like do good to others. Like I don't like most religions are like that. But
Can I ask an ignorant question?
go nuts.
So when you say like it's kind of like not like a set in stone kind of thing, like is it like the kind of like how kind of the Buddhist concept
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
you kind of like you find what you need from
Mhm.
like whatever spiritual leaders and then you kind of build the best
Yes.
quote unquote religion you can for yourself?
It's actually a really interesting religion because it's quite new. Like Sikh is not that old. I think it's only I want to say like a few hundred years old. Like it's a very, very new religion, but it came out of like this group of like oh god, you just have to read about it, but like a lot of it comes down to like people who are like fighting for like the protection of their people. It is a really interesting religion if you like read up on the history of it. I can go into it later, but yeah. It is like just like I think it's like more like Buddhism, like how people view Buddhism, where it's not very strict, and it's usually like, you know, find like peace within yourself, you know, be nice to others. Obviously Buddhism also focuses on like lack of connection to like material things too. I don't think,
Yeah.
but yeah, like these are a lot of things. Like religions also vary so much around the world that if you say like religion is what's producing morality, but then it's like which religion is right because they're all going to produce slightly different moralities too, right? Let's see. Do you believe in moral truth?
And I am more sold on the whole religion to morality thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think someone has to be religious to, you know, choose the right thing or do the right thing.
Yeah.
But I do think that morality eventually has to come from somewhere that is, you know, not akin to here.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know where I stand on that because I don't think like I haven't been convinced that there's like moral truths. Like I've taken I love philosophy classes because I think they're so interesting to talk about these things. I haven't seen any arguments that have convinced me that there's like moral truths that exist in the world. And I think if there was moral truths that exist somewhere in the ethos, like somewhere, you know, in the spiritual universe, I don't think humans can ever access them. Not like I don't think humans will ever be able to access like that kind of knowledge. And I kind of explained it to someone like imagine if you went into the stars, like you could go out into the space and find it written in the stars like the true morality, but true morality said like it's okay to like kill people who do I don't know, kill people who like fluff pillows or something like that, right? Like what if like you found like the actual moral code written in the stars and it told you could kill people who fluff pillows? Like would you do it? No, probably not, because you'd all of a sudden be like, yeah, I don't know if I'm okay with that, because like you'd look at it and you're like, that's crazy. But like it is the true morality. But like that's my issue with like the idea of like moral truths or like having like a true morality, because like if it starts to contradict us very heavily, then we would probably not ascribe to it anyway. Yeah, I don't know. That was the weird analogy I gave in one of my classes, and my prof kind of looked at me like I was crazy, but I was like, that's the only analogy I could get for it.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Like you're kind of
Yeah.
trying to say like, what if like Like you're trying to explain like what if like the choice of like that true religion or the true morality that exists
Mhm.
has some like deeply harmful things or even treats the benign as incredibly evil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think like everyone wants to say that there's like moral truths. Like anyone who believes in moral truths thinks they only think that because they think we already have the moral truth. But if they found out that the real moral truths that existed, again, somewhere in the cosmos, in the ethos, whatever, they would probably still like hold on to their own moral truths more than anything, which would make them not moral truths. They would just, again, be as subjective opinions as anyone else's who isn't religious. Look at public schools having explicit porn in libraries for young kids. Only a few years ago, someone putting books like that in a school library would be considered a pedo. Now it's being pushed. F that. I have a young daughter. Just moved her to a private school because public school is getting extreme. I'm in NYC.
There are a couple wild public schools going on in the
Yeah,
U.S.
I would 100% agree with all of this shit. Like, I think like the American school system is fucked to hell anyway.
Like that Oklahoma teacher who was telling people to go find books elsewhere and whatnot. She was kind of wilding.
Oh, I have no idea about that.
TLDR essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially, there was this long thing that kind of didn't even turn out to be what everyone thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a teacher who essentially at the start of the school year, there was a banned book list supposedly that existed that like kids weren't allowed to get these.
Yeah, no,
books.
I do know. I know what this story is now. Sorry, I totally forgot about that one. But yes, I do know the story you're talking about. The idea of banning any books in school to me is insane. I don't know if I'm alone on that, but like to ban a book in school and say you can't read it.
I'm pro banning books.
Really? Why?
Yes.
Like which?
Well, I think there are some books that children should be found at the right age or should at least be supervised when getting to.
Sure, 100%. But I think like banning, like I remember when To Kill a Mockingbird was banned. Tom Sawyer was banned at one point, like in places.
Yeah.
Like
I don't agree every book should be banned, but I think there are scenarios in which case a book can be banned.
Sure,
I mean,
if there's
the
like
obvious ones
explicit,
that I think that even you would agree with are just like, I mean, sexual books should not be given to probably children.
Yeah,
or at least should be heavily regulated. I mean, past at least 10, like 10-year-olds shouldn't be able to be
I think like
books that have sexual in nature.
For sure. I think when you look at elementary, actually, wait, what are your elementary? Because I know like Canada versus America, like we have like elementary and then high school, and high school starts at grade 8. I don't know if you guys have like middle schools and stuff, but typically like I think up until like grade 7 things like can be monitored a little bit more. But the idea of ever banning anything in high school, because like I was in high school and I read Lolita as like one of my, because I was taking an AP English class and we got to choose like a book we wanted to read, and I read like Lolita. That was a very, very, very difficult book to read. I actually had to get an extension from my teacher because like the content is so heinous at some points that I was like, I'm having trouble finishing this book, because I'd always heard like it's an incredibly well written book, but actually getting through the content of the book, it was super hard. But like I think those are good experiences for students to have, of like reading things that they actually have to like morally contend with and like process really deeply to be able to like decipher, because I think that's a really important experience of like your high school and your growing up, of like learning how to like deal with like tough topics like that. Anyway, sorry, let me go through.
No, and I agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I agree on the high school level high schoolers, I mean, banning of books, it gets very silly. I mean, only a very specific sort of book should probably be banned in high school. That's probably just like the ones of incredibly sexual nature. So I mean, sexual nature or things probably teaching kids how to do things that may be violent or aggressive that aren't supervised. So I could see if there's like a book saying like how to create like home bombs, or like how to like, you know,
probably
like a book teaching somebody like how to become a murderer or something.
Yeah,
I can see those books kind of being banned for high schoolers, because that's maybe not the best thing to have your school, like how to make an AR-15 or like how to make a home gun or something. I can see schools going like, hey, this isn't probably something safe
things
that
that
we
are
should
like
have in our
explicitly
school.
probably pretty harmful to like people around them and stuff like that, like can be like monitored or like
But yeah, like how to kill a mockingbird, Lolita, all that stuff. I said go for it, and then whatever happens to him happens to him.
yeah, exactly. You don't have to answer, but are you atheist or agnostic or neither? I'd probably consider myself agnostic. I won't like deny that there is a God, because we just have no idea. So I would never deny that there is like a God or there isn't a God. But to me, I think for me, like it's always been like whether God exists or not, I would never like, I don't think he cares about us, and I don't think it's something that we should follow. Like I think there could be a creator of the universe, there could be a creator of our world. I have no idea, but I don't think this is like some powerful being that we need to look up to or that cares about what we do that fundamentally, if that makes sense. So like I think whether there is a God or not, it doesn't matter to me, because I think either way, like it's not someone I would follow, especially not if it's a Christian God. No offense. I was almost converted to Catholicism because the Catholic school was better than the other schools around. I would have excitedly tell my Buddhist mom all the things I learned about. Yeah, Michelle's got some crazy stories about her Catholic school days.
I heard Catholic schools are wild.
Yeah, I mean, like she said, like Michelle even said, like she's talked about, because she's one of my close friends. She's talked about like how like some of the stuff that like even though she wasn't Catholic and she never converted, some of the things that they like pushed on her at that young age like actually did stick with her for a long time and like created some of those shame complexes that a lot of like real Catholics have. And so that's like an interesting like that's crazy to me. I've seen more pages out of one of the books and it's literally like a scene of a little boy getting taught how to give sexual acts to an older man. I felt like looking at it was a crime, but putting it in school libraries is no, stuff like that should absolutely be banned. I don't think anyone like needs to like be giving like explicitly sexual content like to minors.
Yeah, that's the thing.
However,
Sexual nature books, kind of we all agree.
That is not to say that we can get into the sex ed conversation because I think a lot of my chat will disagree with me where I stand on like sex ed in elementary school. Because whether we like it or not, either assaults happen or people start doing things at a very young age. Like there's fucking 12 and 13-year-olds doing shit that they shouldn't be doing. And that's not to, you know, encourage it or say that they should be able to do it, but they're going to do it because they're stupid kids and things are going to happen. And we definitely have to like, you know, if we can have like safety education at a young age, around like the age of 10, probably a good idea.
Yeah, and that is the question. Can we?
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I remember like, you know, even at my school and stuff, like there was a lot of like minority, like obviously like a lot of like Middle Eastern or Indian or like Asian parents, like who are less comfortable having conversations about periods. Like I remember the first conversation I had was like in grade 3 or 4 with like our class, like where our teacher was like teaching us about like, you know, bodily functions and stuff like that. And like how, like periods and stuff. And there were so many girls who didn't actually ever get any of that information from their parents. And like some of them could have been starting their period at that age. But like because of like,
that's wild.
The background you come from can a lot of times inform like what information you're allowed like to get. And like Asian parents don't typically give those talks to their kids. Like my parents are very open, and so I got a lot of those talks growing up, which was great. Like my parents are like very like westernized though, because my family's been here for so long. So like I grew up in a very different culture than like very traditional Asian families. So I could see the difference of like a lot of these kids did not have access to that information, and that's crazy to me. So like the fact that we don't even get information about our own bodies, much less like you're never going to get like the sex ed talk from your parent as in an Asian household, which is why I think it's really important to have these conversations in school, even at a young age, because especially like when abuse starts happening, like if people are in bad situations or abuse situations, they need to know how to deal with those concepts, I think even at a decently young age. But that's all.
I do,
yeah.
and I also do think there is a difference between sex ed and biology lessons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Let's see. You don't have to say that. I think you're simplifying morality to religion, and morality has more about the society or state enforcing it rather than wholly based on religion. Sometimes morality is based on the religion it's in surrounding it in the state, but that's not always the case. And not all morality comes out of religion is good. No one religion is good. Yeah, true. I won't give contention to that. Let's see. I'm just trying to go through and see if there's anything. On the side, I support Ye's freedom to say what he wants, and I also support that such freedom comes with responsibility, such as finding there are consequences for actions. This is how it should be. Maybe he'll learn some. Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, especially social consequences. I don't know like how much like I agree with like platforms banning people, because that's one of those things where I'm like, I'm very like, even with my own chat, the reason like a lot of things like I don't ban very often because I like having tough conversations, especially with people who hardcore disagree with me. So I'm very lenient when it comes to like banning people on my channel because I just like that stuff. So, and the same with platforms. I don't like when platforms ban people really hard, but it also doesn't alleviate the idea that like people can come in and criticize how you run your platform or your channel. Like I've had people criticize that like I don't like, they're like, even my friends have been like, why don't you ban these people in your chat? And I'm like, because I want to have those conversations. I like having those conversations. I like being combative. It's fun for me. And I don't like to like, unless if things get like stupid, I usually won't shut down conversations with people, even if I think they're being disingenuous, because I think whether the person I'm talking to is disingenuous or not, I think the people watching the conversation will probably get like a better understanding and education out of me going back and forth with a person than just kicking them off and like not engaging with it. But yeah, so the whole Kanye thing is like, if you lose a lot of fans and followers because you say some anti-Semitic shit, then that's on you.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like you have freedom of speech, not freedom of consequences. That whole stick and spiel. like you can say and feel whatever you want, do whatever you do, but if people don't like you afterwards, I mean,
Yeah.
that's not necessarily, the world's fault.
Yeah. Sorry. I just realized I hadn't updated my stuff. There we go. That's why I limit my morals to the NAP. Keep it basic, simple. Wait, yeah. Simple and easy. I don't know what that is. What's the NAP?
What is NAP?
I have no idea. I thought you might know, but maybe not.
Non-aggression principle?
Oh, maybe. That might make sense. I guess we'd be kind of similar at that point, because I guess I like work off harm principle, which is pretty similar. I need to find my straw for this cup. Sex ed. I keep pulling the top off. There is a straw hole.
You're just like, oh no.
The sex ed, the basics need to be taught at a young age, especially going over boundaries and consent. If you don't want to hug, kiss your uncle and aunt more. Yeah, true. Especially when these things are like so normalized in families, and I've seen so many like kids get yelled at for not wanting to like hug someone or shake somebody's hand or like whatever it is. But like kids, I think, need to have the autonomy to like reject like, especially physical touch, like even basic things. Like if you're like,
Yeah.
if your aunt or uncle or your grandparents want to hug you and you want to say no, I think parents should encourage their kids to have some autonomy and not be rude, but just say, I don't feel comfortable with that. Can I like give you a high five instead? Like, I think that's a great thing for kids to be able to do. But I think there's like,
Big truth.
I know, again, like coming from a traditional culture, it was like considered very rude. Like if you walk into a house and you don't greet everybody and like you would be expected to like kind of go hug everyone who walks in. And I was like super not comfortable with that at all times. And so, but my parents, again, were very lenient. They're like, just, go say hi to everybody. Like, like, but they never forced me to like go hug people, because it was like I was giving that freedom to like have like control over like what happens to my body, and I think that was like really important, which is why, I mean, like I said, my parents have been like great growing up, so I've been in a very lucky situation that I like ended up the way I did, and I think it's like so I understand that like I'm super privileged in the way that like I come at things, but I've just seen so many kids who have like been yelled at by their parents to like go hug somebody or whatever, and they like are clearly uncomfortable with it, and it's like that should not be normalized. I think it's getting better, especially like new generations. Like I think traditional families, like whether you're religious or like whether you're like an ethnic minority or like even white people, like I've seen it happen with both groups where like they're like older traditional households typically tend to like see more authority over their children rather than seeing them as autonomous human beings. And so I think like moving forward, I think like it's good that the younger generations are actually seeing like young people as autonomous, which is, it's changing, so it's getting better.
Yeah, and to speak on that, I had a very like odd position to be in.
Mhm.
My family actually ran a business inside our home.
Oh wow.
So my mother runs a home daycare. So she's a 5-star home daycare like provider, which is like, like the highest you can get.
Yeah.
So there was constantly people like going in and out of my home. There was constantly children going in and out of my home as a kid, and there was constantly adults like you would see. Like you'd wake up, you go to school, and like before you go to school, there's like 7 small children who you aren't related to running through the house, and then like you're greeting parents and whatnot. And I can say, and where I agree with you, that ability to be able to say no to physical contact or like communicating with other people is like very crucial. So I remember as a kid, like waking up and like having to get ready for school and everything. It's like, oh crap, I already got to go to school. So you're getting dressed or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get up and then like you walk outside your room, and there's like these 3 different adults who like you don't really know, you don't want to talk, and then start trying to talk to you and start trying to communicate with you and shake hands. It's like I need some time away.
Yeah, you're like, I need my privacy,
like,
I need my space, I need to feel like I'm in my own space and I don't need to interact with people at 8 in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm a big component to like making sure that like your children have time or space away. Like I'm pro kids having like doors that they can lock.
Yeah.
Like having a space that they own and that they're own. I also think it's healthy for them because it teaches them that they have a space that they control and they're responsible for.
Yeah,
so as long as they're
100%.
keeping it clean, as long as it's regulated, as long as the socks are getting clean, as long as the bed's being made.
Well, that was like the thing.
I think they
like,
should have that space.
Yeah, 100%. And that was like one of the big things my parents instilled, especially when we got like.
Now, if you walk in there and like your kid's doing cocaine or something, then you rip that door down. You're like, you don't get a door until you're,
until you're off cocaine.
until you get your life together.
Yeah.
Until you're
like,
off cocaine. But a normal child should have some space to themselves where they're allowed to kind of express their control and freedom in the world.
Yeah,
because
there
if you
should be a
don't
place.
give them that when they get older, it leads to bad outcomes, I feel.
100%. I think kids need like a space where they can like, and even be able to tell like, I need time away. Like I think like that's one of those things is like, you fight with your parents and you need space, you need to be able to have that space that you feel like
Yeah.
no one is going to
Well,
enter.
your
That you like,
regulator explains
Yeah.
your emotions, and you have a spot where you can go like, this is my calm down spot, or this is my thought spot.
yeah,
So I think so actually why I think so many people, and this is not backed by any science, but I also think that's why so many people talk to themselves in the
Mhm.
shower. And they
Oh yeah,
and like they sing and do stuff in the shower. Because I think that happens. I think why that happens is when people do that, they don't have a spot where they feel comfortable. They can go and they can like think those thoughts or like say those things aloud. So they'll have arguments in the shower. Because I don't think they actually have a spot or location where they feel actually comfortable,
yeah.
where they can like relieve their thoughts and those emotions. So the only time they feel comfortable is when they're like literally naked in the shower, where they know for sure no one's gonna bust down. You know.
True. I mean, I knew friends who would just like when they had to like cry, they would go sit in their bathroom because they knew that their
Yeah, they
parents
go
would-
into the shower and cry.
Yeah, it's like that's why so
go
many
to-
people cry in the shower, like cry in their bathroom floor, because it's like nobody's gonna come in there, but like they didn't feel safe in their own room that people weren't gonna enter that space.
Yeah, I think that's where that comes from. I don't know for sure, but that's where my theory is.
That's probably not a bad theory. Thank you, Grinding Axe, for the follow. I like having conversation with people, especially people who hardcore disagree with me. Yeah, I've always been a very combative child. My family was also super like debatey when I was growing up and stuff, like, and we still are. Like, we all have very different opinions. So I grew up in an environment where everyone liked to have their own opinions and talk about it. So I think that probably informed why I am like the way I am now. At the end of the day, I could care less if religion comes from innate morality because it's about keeping the most amount of people on board to keep the society, nation running and functioning. I feel it's almost necessary, maybe not for everyone, but for many. I wouldn't totally disagree with that. I think a lot of people like rely on that, but I don't know if that's like a good thing. Like if the only thing keeping you, and I heard this quoted somewhere and I'll always repeat it, but it's like if the only thing keeping you from murdering other people is your religion, then you're probably just not a very good person, which I think is really interesting. I think you need to have you need to be able to rationalize and reason out whether you get your morals from religion or not. You need to be able to rationalize those morals in your head. Otherwise you'll fall blindly to like whatever's controlling you, right? Like for me, it's like you look at the Bible and like let's take the homosexuality stuff, right? Like people demonize homosexuality, but like if you start to rationalize it out, there's not really any reason to demonize it. And so it's one of those things where it's like I think when people like fall slave to like their religion as their moral compass, or fall slave to like the government as their moral compass, whatever it might be, like whether it's law, religion, people super quickly like fall into like the trap of like this thing is always right and I follow this thing to a T without questioning it, because I think people just aren't like taught to engage with their morals in that way. But I think it's like probably a good thing to question where those things come from and not just follow them blindly, which I think a lot of religious people do.
Yeah, and I think that also leads back to people kind of having a monster that they need to slay. I think if like how your point is, like if you need religion to not be a terrible person, you're probably just a terrible person.
Yeah.
Like if like religion is the only monster that you're seeing that you need to slay, you know, it's like if you didn't have religion, would you be that person just going out slaying everything then in that regard?
Yeah.
Like you should be able to find some rational way outside of religion necessarily to like not murder people. Like there are some good reasons outside of religion to not murder people.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have religion, like that was your monster to slay, like Satan and like the demons and whatnot. So you leave religion, you're like, oh crap, there's no religion, because I gotta start murdering people who eat French fries. Like it's probably not the best for you.
Yeah. Crazy story. Before sex ed, I thought coming in a mouth is how you made babies, and my friend told me like 100 times, and I believed it until I went to sex ed. Oh,
Well,
the
how
crazy
old
things.
were you? How old were you when this
Yeah,
happened?
can you
were,
imagine he's like
5
in
or
grade
7.
12, got his first
That's
sex ed
okay.
class, he's like, shit. He's like, I've been
Now, if you
nutting
were,
in
like-
so many girls.
Now, if you were like 16 and like some chick, or like 18 or 21, like you got a blowjob, and then you were like, oh god.
Oh god.
You
No,
gotta
he
get
just,
Plan B
I'm
in her.
telling you, he just went around like nutting in a bunch of girls, and he's like, no, it's okay, we can't get pregnant this way. I'm not nutting in their mouth.
Guys, it's good. It's fine.
It's all
don't worry.
fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, he said I was 12. Okay, true story. Wait, 12 is
Okay.
even still. Actually, no, I guess it's like grade 7. That's not bad.
12 is probably normal, or probably not where we want to be ideally in society.
Pardon? Say that again?
I said 12 is probably normal, but not where we want to be ideally in society.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's like conversations about sex ed are so hard because like I don't think that giving like basic sex education will encourage people to do it. But fuck, it's so hard to have like those conversations of like what can you teach up into a certain age, like because there's kids who are going to start having sex at 13. We know like kids get into high school and usually like there are going to be a group of kids that start having sex. So like should we be giving like probably like conversations about like condoms and stuff in like grade 7, like, you know, that 12-year-old stage?
Yeah.
Or like do we like wait on those things until they get into high school when they start doing stuff? But like I don't know, especially like consent stuff. Like I said, like those things can be taught younger because like you can even teach them in reference to like people around you of like, you know, if you don't want to hug someone, you don't have to. Like that's your choice. Like it's your body. People shouldn't impede on your area, and like I think those are things to like teach at a younger age. But like when you get into start in like the detail stuff of like what can we teach at certain ages, like should we start teaching about condoms, contraceptive, like what are your options, all these type of things. It's yeah, it would be a much longer conversation.
It's tough. It's tough and takes a lot of time and wading through waters and.
Pyatt and Kohlberg. I don't know what that is about. I know these names. I don't know what discuss what about them. When he goes in for a hug, he will go up. Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Michelle was talking about like her uncle that like everyone in the family avoids because he's a creep.
Oh, the creepy uncle.
Creepy uncle. She's got one of those.
Unfortunate.
Terrible. People are molded by their environment, so an environment that shuns the behavior will probably be more safe. Yeah, 100%. But you don't need like again like the religion doesn't need to be the thing that like molds that, right? Like I said, like it doesn't, whether it's religion, law, or whatever it is that informs like the morals, it's good for people to be able to question those things and like where they come from. And you need to be able to rationalize, like if you're reading the Bible and you look at the thing like thou shalt not murder, you should be able to rationalize that without using the Bible. You shouldn't just say this is bad because God says it. You should also be able to understand like why in society, why murder is bad by your own like logic and reasoning. I think like being able to engage with like why you believe things is probably really important, and not just being able to default like that's the law or that's God. Like these aren't good justifications for why you, because then we would never move forward from anywhere, because we would just like we would accept everything as it is, and say like these things are wrong. We would never move society in different ways.
Yeah, you have to put some thought into it before you get to religion. So there has to be some thought before you get to religion. You start using religion. So like the whole thou shalt not murder and everything, there had to have been some pre-thought before that you got to the point of reading the Bible where you had to wonder to yourself, why do I need to have this rule? Why should I have this thing? If you just immediately skip to the rule telling you what to do, you've missed out on a lot of crucial steps in there.
Yeah.
If you just go, Bible says don't murder, so don't murder, you've missed out on the crucial steps. Like, should I be reading the Bible? Why does there need to be a Bible? Does there need to be a rule in place for everyone here about this thing? There's a lot of more steps you should have taken before you got into that point of just reading the Bible to give you the solution, before you just grab that solution out.
Pyatt's developmental theory is more in practice now than Kohlberg's, I think, to do with developmental milestones being pushed in the Oh, okay. Oh God, I don't know them offhand. Enough to talk about them on stream. I've taken like a few psychology classes. Most of my other psychology stuff is like strictly in the realm of like crime.
I don't know much about psychology stuff as is.
Have you done your degree? I don't know how old you are.
I'm 26.
Okay, so like, did you do like formal education, or did you do trades, or like, what's your background here? Kind of, you don't have to divulge any information you don't want to.
No, that's cool. I went to community college for like a year and a half or two, and I got insurance license. So I went. So I don't know if it works the same way in Canada, but in America, you can get insurance. You can sell insurance or like be involved in like life or term life and stuff like that, or like property insurance or whatnot, in two different ways. The first way is, you go to school, you go to the 4 7 years or whatnot, then like you go and take all the testing that goes on in school. And, you get the degree and it proves that you're able to sell insurance. Then, like, you hire into a company. The other way to do it is, which I did it, which was a psychopath move, but it worked out. Essentially, you get all of the information that the school would teach you.
Yeah.
You get it all sent to you, and then you have to take at least 4 different tests, and you have to pass all of them.
Gotcha.
And each test has like anywhere between 100 to 200 questions.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I was like, crap, man, school is kind of expensive and I don't have time for this mess. I gotta feed myself. I don't have time for this. So I a week before I learned about it, got an offer from a insurance company. And they were like, hey, we want to get you hired on because, like, you do some work or whatnot from the work I was doing. I was like, I don't have an insurance license or anything like that. And they was like, we can give you the stuff because my company, since there were people with insurance, because you have to have a company that agrees that they're, like, vouching for you. They're like, we will buy you all the resource materials, and then you can sit here and you can study and learn about it. And then you can go take the test. And then, like, each test allows you certain levels of insurance that you can sell.
Gotcha. Interesting.
And I was like,
Yeah, I have no idea how it
and
works
I
in
was like,
Canada.
and I was like, I'll learn it all in 7 days, and I'll go take that test because I don't have time. So I sat down for 7 days straight and learned everything about insurance. And then I took the test and I passed all 4.
Jesus Christ, good for you, man. I hope like do you make good money doing that? I don't think it's like that in Canada. I actually have no idea how it works here though.
Yeah, I did that for a bit. I also do other stuff now too. So like I work at like a veterinarian clinic or whatnot, and I help out with their front desk and every stuff as well.
Oh, cool, sick. Okay.
And how about that? But it can be incredibly good money if you like spend enough time and like because those people. But you also have to have like that kind of brain where you're like that person who wants to sit down at the job and spend like 8 hours at a job and driving 2 hours from like your place to go meet people and like do all these deals with like 200 people that you just met and then driving back home 3 hours. So it was one of those very like taxing jobs as far as time wise, but it has very lucrative payouts.
Gotcha. Interesting. Cool. I know I'm excited to get out of university so I can like start working. I miss working so much, but I also want to like speed run my degree. So
and that's the tough thing, to finding that balance in between like how long do I stay in comparison to like when do I just start working.
Yeah, well that was the other thing is like I got halfway through my first degree and I just wanted to kill myself after a while because like so I got into university doing chemistry. And I was working in a chemistry lab from right before I started university because I had connections and it was kind of supposed to start as an internship thing. And I did so well at the chemistry lab because I'm really good at practical chemistry, but like theoretical chemistry is insane. So like I'm really good at practical hands-on work and I like excel in that. So I worked really, really well in this lab setting. And I was a lab tech for like 3 years there. And I got about like 2.5 years into my degree and I was like losing my mind. And I was like, I'm gonna kill myself if I keep going forward. And I just wasn't really passionate about the work. Like you get into high level chemistry and it gets really draining. And I also realized that a lot of my job opportunities going out of the chemistry degree were not going to be as fun as the job I was doing right then. And I didn't want to stay at that job forever because it was kind of like my
you hit a ceiling and you were kind of like
so it's like I know I'm not going to stay at this job forever, but all of my other job opportunities going out of chemistry are very, very like bland work. Like most of it is like pharmaceutical and like synthesis. So but the lab I was working at was like experimental and innovation. So that was really, really fun and exciting. Like 90% of the chemistry field is like boring as shit. So I was like, I'm going to finish the degree and get into a job that I hate. I can either continue down this path or switch my degree now before I get any further into this. So I switched into criminology after that, and I'm planning to do obviously very different work. Possibly forensics if I want to take my chemistry back up, but yeah. So yeah, I quit that job when I switched programs. Just, I worked there for like another 6 months, and then once they got more lab techs hired there, I left.
That's nice though that you're able to do that and you're able to get that out of your way though.
Oh, 100%.
Like at least because then you don't have to ask those questions of like like what if or if I should have or did I make the right choice. Like you got to spend that time to figure out kind of what worked for you and like where you saw yourself.
Yeah, no, it was a good experience, and like I said, like I super enjoyed that work, but I also I knew the prospects in the future weren't the same, and I don't know. Yeah, I find I'm like way more passionate about the work I do now or about the stuff that I study now, and so studying is way easier. I've also like speed run this degree. So like I've been doing it for about 1.5 years, and I think I'm gonna be done in another 2 semesters after this. So I was like, I like fully kicked it into high gear and finished this degree really quick. I was like, I'm ready to get out.
Yeah, insurance was kind of the same way because there's a lot of things you can do inside insurance. So I kind of messed with a couple stuff like I looked at people's homes and did insurance. I kind of judged their houses, like what they can be insured for and stuff. I judged like people's homes. I judged like the people themselves. So I tried a couple things and I was like, I don't think I'll do straight just like insurance my entire life.
That's fair. Get draining and boring.
Yeah.
The same thing. Yeah. Cornell Wallace said
also in American capitalism, you don't get to do as much. Like in other countries, you have a lot more prospects and like you can help people a lot more.
Yeah.
So there's also a component there where like as Americans and capitalism and whatnot, like there's a lot of people you just can't help with insurance. Like a lot of people just can't get insurance. Like you can't really help a lot of people sometimes. So that's also like a draining part of it where it's just kind of like if I was in another country, like there'd be like everyone I met, there would be something I could do for them.
Yeah. That's fair.
Like the wild thing in America, like you meet people that you just can't help them, you can't do anything for them,
or
like they get insurance from their boss, and like people pretend like this doesn't happen. But selling insurance, there are people in Boston you can literally sit down in front of them and you're like, hey, I can offer all your employees like free things, like it won't cost them anything. all you have to do is just sign these papers or whatnot, and just let me talk in them, and they can get all this free stuff. And some bosses or employers will just be like, no, I don't really care. Like, and you just be like, don't you
Oh,
care
yeah.
about your employees? And they're just like, no, like they're just here to do their job, and they need to shut up and go do it.
Jesus.
And you meet people who will literally say that, and it's like, dang.
That's
So it's
wild.
tough in that regard. Yeah, it's wild, but people actually do it. Like people just go like, I don't care. Like I won't spend a second thinking about these people that I don't have to.
Yeah, I know. The capitalist system is like super intense in America. Like Canada and America aren't like so fundamentally different, but like our systems are set up so differently that you start to see like, yeah, you see behavior like that, and I don't know if that happens in Canada at like the same rate. Especially because we don't have as much private, like, well, we do have private insurance, but like I don't think
Yeah, it's
there's
not nearly
yeah.
as privatized to
Yeah.
the same degree.
No. Did you do medical insurance at all very much?
Yeah, I did a lot of short term stuff, like
Okay.
short term life.
Gotcha. Let's see. I can relate. Chemistry. I was in med school, only stayed 1 year, was horrible. I went back and got 2 degrees in finance and accounting, went to forensics audit. That's cool. See, yeah, it sucks that it takes so many people, and I think like so many people I know switch degrees in university because I think it takes a little bit of time trying things out to like figure out what you really like. And the sad part is like it's like such a waste of money. Well, like my parents always said like no education is a waste of money, which is why I like don't regret the first few years I took in chemistry. But I also, again, recognize that I was very privileged, that my family is like now in a pretty financially stable position, that like when I switched degrees, it wasn't a big deal. Like if I had to take an extra year to like finish my new degree because we could afford it and it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
It just sucks that like so many people end up in university thinking that they're going to do one thing, and then when they realize they're unhappy, it's really hard to switch because you're like, I have to start all over. I don't have the money for that. I thought I was going to be out and working in like a year or whatever. Like it's just, university is way too expensive across the board, and especially in America. Fuck you guys. Your fucking university prices are insane. Good for you for going to community college.
Yeah, we try to have Biden come through and start giving people some student debt relief.
And we all know how I feel about the student debt relief stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% pro. Like, school is like just way too expensive. Like,
Yeah.
it costs far too much. It's too dumb. It's not nearly as fluid as it should be. I mean, that's just a topic that will go on for ages.
Yeah. Mostly, like, I don't agree with student debt relief just because I think it's like a band-aid solution to like the actual problem. Is like you actually need to like better better what is it, interest policies, because like the interest that you guys have to pay on your fucking student loans is fucking insane. Like in Canada, it's usually like there's a lot better like interest policies. So like a lot of times, like if you get into a job field right out of your degree, or if you're like paying back like proper on like certain amounts and stuff like that, or if you pay off a certain amount in a certain time, like your interest doesn't compound the same way. Whereas like in the States, like your interest can be higher than your fucking like actual university expenses were, and it's like that's
Yep.
insane to me. Like the system that America is just, it's so fucked when it comes to education. On all levels.
I mean, it's the same way. It happens the same way with rent too. Like people, like you can go, like someone can go to get rent, and like someone will go buy a bunch of apartments, and then charge the people that they're renting to it all the money that it costs to buy the apartments.
Oh, that, yeah, no,
And it's
100% that happens in Canada too, which is a huge problem
And
right
that's
now.
insane.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how is that even legally allowed? And then someone can go to the bank and go like, hey, I need to go get a loan out or something to go get a house and put something down on a house. And it's like, yo, do you have an extra $800 a month? And it's like, no, I'm paying my rent right now in my apartment for it. Like,
Oh,
if I can just
Jesus.
not pay.
Yeah. Are you more big government or small government? Just oh god, I've changed back and forth on this. This is also one of my positions, that like I was a big libertarian small government before, but like I also think like I think government needs to stay in the area of like helping people, and so like I'm pro social safety net. So in the sense of like big government that like it's reaching into like create social support, I'm very much for. But like in terms of like what people can and can't do with their lives, I think government needs to stay out of a little bit more. It's just kind of like it's really hard to like just say big or small government. I would err on the side of smaller government, but I'm also, like I said, like pretty pro safety social nets. You know, I'm probably to an extent, like I used to be very, very against taxes, especially growing up. I was like very libertarian, but now it's like I think taxes just need to be spent better. Like it doesn't, like I don't mind paying taxes, but if it's going directly back into like taking care of like, you know, roads, it's going back to taking care of the community, I'm okay with taxes. I don't know. Yeah, it's a hard question to answer there.
Yeah, I think big small government works better for categorized conversations,
Yeah.
unless like you're literally on the extremes.
Yeah, Yeah, like I said, like the when I was like super libertarian early high school, and then I was a super leftist at the end of high school, and now I'm pretty moderate. It was one of those things because like I think like growing up, like my dad was like more libertarian, like very very hardcore libertarian guy, and so like you know when you're a kid, like you look up to your parents a lot for like a lot of your values and stuff. So I grew up like that, and then as I got into high school, I went through like my leftist phase, and I was pretty severe crazy leftist. Not crazy, actually, I was never that crazy of a leftist. I thought I was a crazy leftist, and my family thought I was.
I also think it's okay for kids to be crazy. You know, like I think
100%,
as a
you go
child,
to that stage of learning.
I think you should get a little wild. You know.
Mm-hmm. It's how you figure out like
healthy.
what's like good, and I think like that's like the thing is like I had like pretty extreme like opinions in high school, but it's also like because you're just learning about all these things and you're just absorbing all this stuff, and then as I got through like university and I got through like I got a little bit older, now I'm in like you know I'm 22. A lot of my positions have become much more nuanced. Like a lot of the things that I like, but this is like my problem with a lot of like especially like I watch a lot of Twitch politics and I watch a lot of these debate panels. I watch a lot of like political pundits. And the problem is everyone is so extreme and like lack nuance in their views, and that's like my issue. Like that's why I ended up starting my Twitch account because I'm like there needs to be better conversations around this stuff, and I just don't see it happening. And I'm like, you know what? If I want better conversations, I have to like also you know work to create those better conversations.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. It's a good system to do it.
Let's see. I did a degree in mechanical engineering for a year and dropped out. Now I'm studying linguistics and computer science. Now I work at a company that does NLP and planning to do a master's in research and documenting languages. That's sick as fuck. Is that the neuro-linguistic programming? I read a lot about that when I was in my actually high school years as well. I don't know if it's like considered pseudoscience or not right now. Because I know for a long time it was considered like pretty hardcore pseudoscience, but I feel like there's been more work done into it to like establishing it, but I could be totally wrong. Ed might be able to chime in, but I think he's gone to bed. I was lucky, got a full scholarship, had to work my ass off to get it though, but so worth it. Let's see. U.S. student loans are for life. You can literally file bankruptcy and they won't go away. Yeah, that's also crazy to me. That like that's the one thing you can't bankruptcy out of.
That will stick with you, man. They don't play about that money. You can be bankrupt all you want. We still want our money by the end of the month.
Even if our government student loans, we get 5 years after graduation, no interest to pay them off. True. Yeah. Canada's just better in every aspect on that, on I think university policy. Because like even when I find it like I thought my tuitions were high, and then I started talking to my friends in the States and how much they paid for university, and I like almost had a heart attack. Holy shit!
You were like, you little baby.
I was like, oh my god! I'm like, I pay less than 10 grand a year, so like theoretically, I could do my whole degree for probably like 40 grand or under, like if I wanted to. And I'm at a good university, like I'm at a decent university, like a big university. Like I'm not at like a small community college. Like I'm at a good university and I'm paying like I probably could do my entire degree under 40K. And I talk to people in the States and they're like, yeah, I'm paying 35K a year. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, man, those are chump numbers, okay?
Yeah.
I can do that easy, okay?
I was like crying about like my tuition going up this semester. And I was like, because like our school increased their prices and stuff because of the COVID. And people were pissed. But then I was like complaining. And then I talked to my buddy and he's like, yeah, ours went up too. I'm paying like 35K this year. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
You know, I heard a good system I heard that like exists kind of like in like the Norway, Sweden area.
Yeah.
There are some that you don't pay anything at all in their schools, but like once you get the job, then they just start taking parts of like your paycheck out to like pay for. Like, and I think that was like the wildest thing I ever heard as an American. I was like,
because like again, like the incentives for like education in Europe are so different. Like the States talk about how like uneducated the population is, but it's like because you guys like don't put anything into like making better education systems. Like your high schools and stuff like your public schooling is severely underfunded and severely disorganized. Then you talk about university and then, like the access to like higher education is so like barred off from most people. Like it's just insane. And then like we talk about like the population getting dumber. It's like, no, bro, it's just America.
It's funny, and I joke, and I say this, and it's funny. It's not funny, but it's hilarious. But when she told me about that, I literally thought about that. Like it kept me up at night night, like just thinking about the world and an existence like that.
Yep.
I was like, I can't believe that exists. I was like, how does that even work? Like in the world, in society. I was like, what kind of paradise are they living over there?
Yeah, and people always say like Narus, I'm still not sure how to pronounce her name. Talks about like choosing your degree wisely. I agree. Choose degrees that you know like will probably like I think everyone jokes about it, but like, don't do a fucking gender studies degree unless you're probably planning to go into gender studies research. Like, yeah, like unless you're planning to go into like research or like you're planning to get your PhD and become a professor, don't do degrees like that because they're just not worth it. But like, also at the same time, education shouldn't be so barred off that like even if you are like, because I know people who like again like take med school and like go into major debt because they're in med school, and like yeah, the tuition is insane. With 500,000 student debt and you're making 300,000, it's still gonna take you fucking forever to pay off, and it's still compounding interest.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe we wouldn't have to choose our majors wisely if it was just less expensive. Like that could always just be it. Like maybe there's a world that exists where like we don't have to choose wisely and we can just kind of experiment and pick out. But we only say that because everything is so expensive.
You're much more centrist than I expected you to be. I don't know why. Maybe I'm getting confused with someone else in my chat, but I was like, I felt like, did you grow up more right wing or did you like grow up pretty neutral or like left wing? I guess you're in Oklahoma, so I could take a guess.
Oklahoma's weird.
Yeah.
Because I'm also black, so.
Oh shit! Okay, I would not have guessed that from your voice. No, that sounds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I have an Oklahoma accent.
You have an Oklahoma accent. I would not have guessed.
Most people don't know because they don't know what a black accent like this sounds like. So most people I talk to, they like, you know, if they don't see my face, they're like, he has like a very Oklahoma like sounding accent, so he must be white.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were, but I would not have guessed black.
Yeah.
Good for you. I don't know.
Good for you.
I don't know what to say to that. Anyway, continue. What was your point?
No, it's all good. No, I get what you mean, but like, so like everyone likes Democrats here, like, you know, like everyone like, so like black people are like mostly pro-Democrat, but Democrats don't get the black vote though, because like they like the idea and they like the feelings that Democrats put out and they throw out, but just black people don't trust the system. They don't trust like the Democrats in order to do it. So like black people here and like a lot of people here like what Democrats say, like what they hear, but they just don't believe that they'll actually follow through or they have the power to do it. So you get a lot of people who will go Republican or like go red or conservative or not, just because they're like, don't really like you too much, don't really care for you too much, but at least I know you will get things done. So there's like a severe mistrust in like the actual ability to follow out kind of what goes on.
Do you think that?
I mean, like.
Oh, good.
No, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would say. Like, I think I am probably far more right-leaning than probably you, and probably to most of the world. But I mean,
I disagree with that. You are like, I think that's like the false sense of being online so much is like you think like the world is so much more left than it is, and then like I think you and me are like people like even people have called me fucking fascist on like my platform, and I'm pretty left-wing. And like it's just like the environment online is much more left wing than the rest of the world. So we feel like, are we fucking right wing? And it's like, no, we're not.
Yeah,
don't worry.
Could be. Yeah, that could be a thing. But yeah, so I enjoy like I agree like from a lot of societal aspects, kind of on the individual level, kind of the right leaning perspective. Like, you know, like from a individual perspective, you know, like pulling yourself up from your bootstraps, making sure you're paying what you have to, you know, like small government, keep out of your face and whatnot. But from like living in Oklahoma and like all this like stuff that goes on in Oklahoma, like I don't know if you know what like the Trail of Tears or anything.
Yes, yeah.
Or, like with Jim Crow and whatnot, or like the race riots or whatnot. That all happened in like Oklahoma. Like that was like a hot spot. So like all the all the natives got sent to Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
All the blacks got sent to. So there's a lot of culture. So there's a lot of like societal love and a lot of like, you know, like people caring about their community or whatnot here. So the larger you get, the more you start looking at more larger, you know, group things, then everyone immediately switches blue. But it's that red, you know, it's that like government stay out of my face because I don't trust you kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we would look at everything societally, we vote from that societal blue standpoint.
I guess like a question to this is like, I know I've talked to like, there's a lot of minority people and like, it's happening a little bit in Canada too, where there's always been this like, from the left and like the Democrats like always like appealing to minorities and saying like we're gonna take care of you, and like the Republicans don't care about you and like they won't do anything for you, like we're the party that takes care of you, we're the people who care about you, and then it never feels like they actually do anything to like help minority groups. Do you think a lot of people like in like, I mean, I guess around you like feel disaffected by like I guess you did say like their inability to get stuff passed, but like it was also the messaging of like we care about you and then not doing anything like in reality?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what a lot of people feel about it. I mean, at least from here wise, everyone's like, yeah, it would be nice if like everything we heard you say was good, and it would be nice if like the warm fuzzy feeling that you give me was like actually a real thing that would pass on. But people just don't trust like their ability to get things through.
Mm-hmm.
Like they like hearing about, which is one high reason why a lot of black people here and a lot of minorities don't actually vote.
Gotcha.
Like they just don't feel like, they just feel disenfranchised. They feel like I voted for you one time and things didn't work out. Like I'm not gonna vote for you again. Like I didn't really trust the system it is, but I kind of gave you a chance, and everyone feels kind of like scorned.
Yep.
Like so they're just kind of like, nah, I'm not doing it no more. So then you get like all the older people who are like, you know, older white people.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, so then they're all voting red. So everything shows up red here or whatnot. But
well, here's the thing is like we even saw with like your guys' like midterm elections. Like I think like that was like the feeling. Like we saw so many people talking about like not voting and abstaining, like, you know, the voting process and stuff. And so there was like thought that there was gonna be a big red wave because like typically like young people who talk about like all these issues, who talk about like leftist issues, are not the same people who are actually going out and voting. And this is something I like railed hard about on like a couple of streams ago. You can go back and like I kind of fight with someone in Ed and Brady's chat about like the necessity for voting. Oh, thank you for the bits. But I'm always someone who's like very, very big on voting, but I also understand the people who feel like disaffected by the system of like, I don't want to vote for the other guy, but also you guys have screwed me over at this point. Like, it's not worth voting for you either. I'm just gonna like not vote because it's not worth it. Like, it doesn't change anything. So I think a lot of people are like at that point where like, no matter what I do, like the voting doesn't change anything. Which is sad that like we've gotten to that point in society, and I don't know how we like start to turn that around to get people to like vote, especially in local elections. Like I know that's like the biggest thing. Like I've always been someone like, because my family is very, very big on voting. Like my grandpa will like call us and be like, make sure you go vote today. Like he is like a very like, you need to go vote. Like you have to participate in your democracy. Because he grew up like in a place where like there wasn't that same system, and so he's like big on it. And so I was always taught to like every election, even local elections, like your city elections, everything, like I vote in everything. But like I didn't realize how low the voting rate turnout for like local stuff was, and I was like, holy shit, like I think that's stuff that we need to focus on, especially like rather than just federal, is like getting people to like, I guess, participate more in like that, like like your community, your local stuff.
If you ask me, that's probably the biggest problem. People are so hyped and so wanting to get the presidential vote or the vice president vote that they're just like, you have to go vote, like you have to go spend. But like realistically, that's the worst way to tell people how to spend their vote, because there's a 50-50 chance, just naturally speaking, that they're not going to get what they want. Mm-hmm. But if you go to a local election or you go to a smaller degree election, usually you can get what you want. It's just like to varying degrees. So if you start people off on like that local election where they can see everything they do have immediate change, their vote actually, I mean, however you want to look at it, like it technically, you know, feels like it's worth more.
Yeah.
You know, like your bigger election vote is technically the same as like small, but there's a smaller portion size. You know, you're there. You can see everyone that you vote for. Like if they actually were involved in that smaller level,
and at that point, like
first,
I will actually say, like
stuff.
In your local election, your vote probably does count more because like you're just a bigger percentage of the voting population.
Yeah, trying to tell somebody to vote for like, you know, between like a couple 100 million people, it's like with a 50-50 chance already off the bat of this, like not getting anything that they wanted.
Yeah.
Like it's such a bad way to already start someone off. Like start them off small, get them involved like on a smaller level where they can see stuff, they can have more wins on their belt, and then try to get them into these bigger elections and these bigger issues and these bigger stuff.
Yeah. All right, it is getting close to 1 a.m. for me, so I think I'm actually going to log off for the night because it's it's close to 1 a.m. So I think I'm gonna wrap up stream. Thank you for hanging out and coming on. I would love to have you back now that you've been on once. You're chill as fuck, so you're welcome back on my chat anytime.
Sounds good, no problem. Happy to have me.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap up for the night, so I will say goodnight to you, Preacher, and goodnight to chat. I have a Discord. I don't think I have my TikTok linked, but if you, I'm gonna try posting on my TikTok more for like, because it's a great place to push your stuff. I have like 2 TikTok posted right now, so it's literally just the same as my Twitch name if you want to find that, but I don't know if any of you are interested, but the Discord's much more interesting if you want to like suggest topics in the future and talk to me. That's a great place to do that. But yeah, I think that's it for the night. Peace out, guys.